All right. Let's see. Nick, you're here. What's up, man?
Nothing much, man. What's up with you?
Oh, nothing. Just waiting on the other participant here. Now, do you want to give a little rundown of what's going on before? Now, I'll give him the same opportunity, when he comes in, of course. But if you want to give a little background on what's going on here.
Yeah, well, I've been called out. I've been called out for the past couple of months by the leader of the alt-right, the the prince of the alt-right, Richard Spencer. And so I guess he started a new program with this guy Ronnie and a couple of others where they sort of take in turns bashing me for being optics cuck or whatever. And as you know, I mean, I offered to do some sort of a sit down with Spencer or any one of those guys, but Ronnie's the only one who has answered the bat call. So here we are.
That is true. And I think I talked about this before, but on the air, I'm not sure if I did, but that is true. I did. We had you agree to do something with Spencer. I talked to Spencer. It just hasn't happened. But I happened to see, you guys going at it. I guess he tagged you in some tweets yesterday, and I didn't even see it until maybe it was sometime this morning after the show because my Twitter is ridiculous, and I just missed it. But I said, well, why don't we just do it tonight? To his credit, he was ready to go. So
yeah, well, it really all goes back to I think it all goes back to the introduction of Megan Bobonik into the equation because we can kind of clearly construct a pattern here that I had a pretty peaceful year. I mean, you guys know the IBS stuff was fun, but really 2018 I made amends with James Alsop. I made amends with Patrick Casey. I made amends with Brett Elephants. I mean, really, I had
with
this
me
reputation.
Too. Me and you had it.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. It was too. Yeah, yeah. And so the whole year, I had this reputation of being like this bridge burner, toxic, and I've made amends with everybody. And out of a clear blue sky, this guy Spencer, he starts attacking Faith Goldie, and then Patrick Casey, and then Bronze Age Pervert, and then me, and then Baked Alaska. Attacked him over the "We Love Our Cops" video from like 2 years ago. So
that video is pretty funny though. I maybe have made fun of that video a few times myself, but I'll just leave that there. But so you're saying that this wasn't started by you? Is that basically what you're putting out there? Or
yeah, because I know a lot of people have been saying like, "Oh, your Nick is starting trouble again." Like, I ignored this for like a month. If you remember, Spencer tweeted like, Nick is a child or something, and went pretty strongly against me like months ago, and I didn't respond at all, or if I did, like very minimally on my show, just kind of like brushed it aside. But I mean, it's been going on so long. Eventually, I just responded, and now we have a feud on our hands, and I don't shy away from feuds. I love to feud. So
now it seemed to kick up right after the election. I guess Spencer had said that you were. We talked to him a little bit about it when he was on here that you were carrying water for Trump pretty much and weren't calling him out enough and had turned into like a cheerleader type. What would your response to that be?
well, yeah, I mean that's always been the criticism. Even I went on the Kumite and I got in that fight with Coach Red Pill about the same thing. And I on my whole timeline the other day, not like I have anything to prove to anybody, but just for the sake of credibility, I mean, I showed that you could go back to March, and you could find tweets where I was saying this spending thing, this budget battle with the wall is a disaster. It started back in March when they did the omnibus bill, and I said in March this is a mistake. Then it was September 30th that bill ran out, and the Republicans said, "Oh, we'll push it to after the midterms." I said that was a big mistake, and so people act like, oh, Nick will never criticize Trump. Like I explicitli criticized what got us in this position 9 months ago. And, but people want to create this caricature like, like you said, I'm carrying water, whatever. But I showed everybody, in the tweets, it's just simply not true. So that's my response to that.
So let me also ask you, I've seen you talk a lot about black pilling on Twitter, and these people are, unnecessarily negative. What do you mean by that exactly?
Well, I understand why people are frustrated. I'm frustrated also. And, if people have been watching America First for the past 2 weeks, it's not like we've been this is why, this is how we're actually going to win. You know, I've been basically venting the same frustration, so I get it. But my problem is people see Trump as the problem, when in reality, the problem is the fact that the people around him, you know, if you look at the Congress, if you look at the people in the administration, these people have been holding back any kind of nationalist agenda from taking root. And so the way I see this is that we need to build upon Trump. People want to say, well, Trump didn't fix immigration in 2 years. Let's bail. Screw this. We're going to do something. We're going to have a revolution instead. And I say that there's really no viable alternative to, you know, the legitimate electoral process. And therefore, you know, as a sane, normal person, once you recognize that, you say, well, how do we build on top of Trump? Well, we recognize the shortcomings, and we get people involved. We get people in the GOP. But I mean, people like on Richard Spencer's side, they unironically are for a revolution. Like, and I called this months ago when people are so-called blackpilling over the Syria strike. I said, I get why people are mad, but blackpillers are using this as an opportunity to tell people, don't vote, get out of electoral politics, join my like revolutionary militant cult. And now they don't even make any bones about it. You know, 8 months ago, they said, no, we're just being honest. We're just trying to get the president. We're trying to pressure him into doing what we want. And now they're just openly saying, oh, Nick, the optics cuck doesn't understand. It won't be achieved at the ballot box. And people don't understand, like, these are the kind of people that if you interact with them, you go on a watch list. Like the government shows up at your door. We start talking about, you know, that kind of thing. So that's right. Like, I get it, but.
Okay, cool. So Gator, do you have one question for Nick? And then we'll do the same thing we just did with Nick, with Ron. And I'm going to get some ice while you ask your question of Nick. Do you have a question, Gator? Hopefully you do, so I can get some ice.
Yeah, I do have one quick question about. So, are basically what you're saying is that you're kind of equating Richard Spencer's side with the, I guess, siege tards? Is that what you're trying to basically say here, that he's kind of like siege tard light?
Basically. Well, and you know, I've discussed it with him before, even back when me and James did Nationalist Review, and this is just brief, but, you know, I had him on the show, or we had him on the show, and I said, okay, well, look, I want to have optics. I want to have practicality. You know, we want to get people elected to pass policy. What do you see as a viable alternative? What other alternative do you have besides like overthrowing the government? And he's like, well, you know, there's other ways to change government other than an election. And, you know, then I spoke with him privately and he's like, well, yeah, I mean, basically, I mean, a revolution. And that's just not anything I want to be a part of.
Because, you know, we've had Richard Spencer on this program before, and it really, I don't think that's necessarily fair to kind of construe him as being like the more extreme side of the equation. Richard's always been more of like a sort of academic kind of guy. Mm-hmm. So like the ethno-state thing, he talks about it as being like a thought experiment, you know, something that he openly admits would probably never happen, but it's kind of a nice way to think about things. So I don't know if I would say that he's necessarily has this revolutionary mindset.
Right. Well, I mean, what is the alternative to elections? He said repeatedly that we're not going to save the country through elections. And like, I hear you, because yeah, he's an academic. He's a very posh, effeminate academic. The idea that he would like lead a revolution makes me laugh. But you know, then I wonder, what is the viable alternative to elections? How you change outcomes in the country? I don't see any other. And again, he said it implicitly at times, explicitly at times, or, you know, alluded to it. I think he believes there's going to be some kind of uprising or the dissolution of America. And, you know, sure, there might be political violence in the future, but at this point in time, I think people who talk about that, I'm very suspicious of their motives, you know.
All right, I'm going to, Ronnie Cameron, thank you for joining us. So, you know, I pretty much asked Nick, you know, what's the genesis of this beef? How did it start? We'll do the same thing with you, let you go through your case here, or just the outlines of it at the top, and maybe ask you a question or two. And then I don't know if you've seen how I conduct these, but I'm pretty much just going to sit back and let you guys go at it after that. But I figured since he came on early and we had a little time with him, we would give you the same opportunity. Can you hear me, sir?
I think he's muted.
Okay. All right. Well, all that wind up and he's muted.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Now, could you hear everything I was just saying just there?
Yeah, no, I can hear you clear. I can hear you clear.
Okay, go ahead.
Basically, when you look at Nick's views, he is alt-right. for whatever reason, he's decided to take up this argument, completely slandering individuals within the alt-right. And to me, I just think it's unnecessary. And I don't even understand where Nick fits in to the picture. Like, is he alt-light? Is he civic nationalist? Is he alt-right? Like, Nick presents the idea that the alt-right is this fringe movement. But when you look at Nick Fuentes, he is 100% fringe. I mean, it's very hard to even describe exactly what Nick Fuentes is. And that's my biggest issue with him. I mean, the guy is clearly an intellectual, he's valuable to the movement. And I don't understand why this guy would choose to start going at, like, even JF. I really don't understand it. It's almost like you're so afraid to lose your support with, the basic conservative or the mega supporters or whatever, because you understand that that's, there's a lot of shekels there, right? You don't want to lose out on that support, do you, Nick? So you distance yourselves. Hold on.
So you can wait. One thing. Let me just say this, and I'll let you guys go at it. Now I was gonna do a little interview segment here, but since you kind of went directly at him there, so I'm just gonna sit back and let you guys go at it from there.
This is the kill stream, right?
Yes, go ahead.
Are you all finished, Ronnie?
Yeah, let's let Nick jump in there.
Well, where to begin? Well, I like how you say it's hard for you to understand what you might call someone like me. I get why it would be hard. You have a very low IQ. Well, when Spencer called me out, he said, Nick, why don't you just leave the alt-right? If for all like black pill losers, why don't you just leave the alt-right? And I said, I never identified as alt-right. And on the same stream, which you were a part of, he said, why don't you join the paleo conservatives? I've identified as a paleo conservative for a year. So the idea that because you are anti-Zionist, race realist, identitarian, that you have to fit in with this collection of like strange leftist degenerate losers, the tiki torch men, I just don't believe that. I mean, you'll find that Megan Bobonick, the Satanist left-wing girlfriend of Richard Spencer, that's very fine and well. She wrote a Medium article basically defending the relationship and said to her leftist friends and said, oh, well, actually, aside from his views on immigration, Richard is actually totally left-wing on everything else. That's the thing, though. I'm not a left-wing person. I'm Catholic. I'm a reactionary. I'm hard right. We're talking about a person who said after the the Parkland shooting, that the idea that teachers would be armed is ridiculous. This is somebody who banned people who were against homosexuals from the NPI conference. How is that right wing? I'm sorry. The alt-right is basically this collection of, racist liberals. And I don't say racist in a way that is derogatory. I mean, what it is, it's left-wing people who don't care for racial minorities. And I'm actually right wing. So, and valuable for the movement, like valuable in what sense? It's just been humiliation after humiliation. This is a person who tweeted 2 years ago, I'm not a masochist, I'm into sadism. And it's like, really? Because after the last 2 years that you've had, it seems like you'd be a masochist. To have the years that you've had, it seems like you derive pleasure. I mean, you must love just getting humiliated and embarrassed after Michigan, where he came on a live stream and said, Antifa beat me, and after just scandal after scandal about alcoholism, destroying your family. I mean, it's a disaster. I can't think of a single person whose life has been made better by coming into contact with Richard Spencer. So that's the first point. The second point you made was that I will not associate with Spencer because I'm in it for the conservatard shekels. I actually was involved with the Daily Wire crowd for a long time. That's the Ben Shapiro magazine. And I was forcefully kicked out of their group because I asked too many questions about Israel. I remember I went to Cassie Dillon's house and, I was sleeping over there and I was like, Cassie, they've been kicked out of 109 countries. You think it's everybody else? At that point they were like, oh, okay, this guy's out of control. The idea that I quit the conservative movement to make, or rather that I'm appealing to conservatives or I'm making a ton of money right now. Look at who funded Richard Spencer. I've never had a mega donor like the Regneries. I've never had a mega donor like who's the gay Southern from Ameren. Countless donors. I've never had that. So it's all just ridiculous on its face. It's a bunch of low IQ posturing from the TRS forums or something. And I mean, what do you have to say about that, Mister?
Well, first of all, Nick, you say that you're this paleo conservative who has these views that are basically totally in alignment with the alt-right, and your only real disagreement or argument is specifically towards Richard Spencer. Now, I could easily point out that the leader of a movement does not necessarily represent every single aspect of the movement in terms of character. Let's look at Donald Trump. Now, I'm sure there are several aspects to Donald Trump's character, demeanor, and overall history that you would 100% disagree with. However, you seem to be supportive of him. You seem to be supportive of Trumpism in general. So I could easily just ask you, okay, well, let's put Richard Spencer aside. In terms of ideology, in terms of the message that we're presenting, what about the alt-right do you really fucking disagree with?
I'll tell you. That's a great question. Like I said, the alt-right, I've said this on my show repeatedly, the alt-right is materialist. This is why you have lots of pagans in there. You have a lot of futurists in there. These are people that are not socially conservative. I believe that my conservatism comes from a belief in tradition, a belief in order, a belief in hierarchy. The alt-right kind of believes in that, but it doesn't really come from anywhere. I really believe the foundation of conservatism is a belief in God, is a religiosity. You don't see that in the alt-right. You see that largely, and I don't say this in a nasty way, but people like Jared Taylor was a big alt-right leader. He's somebody who's not very, very strongly Christian or very strongly religious. Neither is Richard Spencer. You look at any of the leaders of the movement, there is no religious grounding. That's a major source of disagreement. And again, the NPI conference, if Richard Spencer is your leader, and everybody who comments on your channel believes that, you really love your leader, the NPI conference is maybe where all the alt-right people, would you say that if Richard Spencer is the leader of the alt-right, that the NPI conference would be the alt-right conference? Well, he goes and tells people, yeah, if you oppose homosexuals, you can't go to the alt-right conference. Well, I believe that sexual immorality and
let's hold on 1 second, Nick. Before we go on to the homosexuality part, I think it's.
You asked me what are the differences. Here's the difference. Well, wait.
Okay,
we go into
fair enough. Finish the thing with the sexual, but I don't want to just detach from the religious aspect of it, because I think this is clearly where the divide is with the alt-right. You can go on with the homosexuality part, but I think this is just a small pillar to your argument.
Yeah, well, that's a very representative part. It just goes to show you say, well, the leader doesn't have to represent everything. Well, he banned it from the conference. Clearly, the alt-right has very left-wing views on a lot of things, on women, on sexuality, on modernism, and paganism, all that gay nonsense. So I put paganism and homosexuality in the same group there. So that's, to me, the difference. Do you think that something like religion is just sort of like a semantic or trivial detail? Do you think, oh, well, they have different metaphysics? That's a petty detail, but what policy issues do you disagree on? It can't get more substantive than metaphysics.
No, I'm not suggesting that at all, but
don't get that.
You're not going to have universal agreement within any political movement or ideology, and to think otherwise is just absurd. So there's room for flexibility within the alt-right. It's not a political ideology like capitalism or libertarianism where it's specifically defined and you're kind of anchored in this specific type of ideology. You have libertarians, you have fascists, you have some communists. It's filled with all different types of individuals that come together under white well-being, addressing the JQ and race realism. And if you want to point out these small aspects I can agree with that. It's not necessarily small because it's important. I do believe religion is important. However, this is not, in my opinion, this is not what defines a political ideology. It's just simply an aspect to it. You will find religious liberals. You will find religious conservatives. And I truly don't think, Nick, that should define how you identify and who you associate with. Like, you have thrown some very intelligent, important individuals right under the bus for associating with,
who is intelligent and important that I've thrown under the bus?
JF and
I
Richard
haven't thrown
Spencer.
JF under the bus. And by the way, Richard Spencer,
he did it. He in his stream. He 100% addressed it.
How important to who? Important to what?
You're saying that JF isn't important, that he isn't a reputable individual, that people who even outside the alt-right respect, Nick? Is that what you're going to say?
Relative to what? Relative to what? Important.
Relative to what? I'm just
what
going to
are
laugh and act
self-inflated-
condescending because that's my entire
what are
one-dimensional attitude
self-inflated-
is to just act condescending and
Something
sarcastic towards everything. Oh my God. You have no passion. You have no sincerity. And your
I have
entire career is
passion.
based off of just ridiculing others
please.
without presenting anything original or unique of your own.
Really?
That's the truth, Nick.
Really? You're going to talk
Yeah.
about
When
originality?
you put together,
tell me,
what do you
show
present
is
that's
live on
original or
Heel Turn right now?
constructive?
Tell me, what is the name of the show that is live on Heel Turn right now? It's called The Gas Station. You want to talk to me about originality? Your entire brand is like Fast Wave and like TRS Lite from 2016. You're like 12 years older than me. You have less followers than people who have made a Twitter account in the last week. So please don't even get me started on the personal insult. If you want to return,
we want to go to the follower route. That's how we're going to define integrity and credibility. Well, first of all, Twitter is probably my least used format in terms of social media. I mean, on Facebook, I have 15,000 followers on one page alone. I have about 7,000 on another. I have 15,000 subscribers on YouTube. Like Heel Turn has about 11,000 subscribers, yet they are way more popular than you, Nick. Like you can't deny that reality that they generate way more traffic, way more popularity. It's basically burning up in terms of heat. Yet they have less subscribers than you. So don't even try to use that argument, Nick. Like, come on.
Yeah, well, look. Richard Spencer, he had this big political moment. He was on CNN, and now what he has to show for it is a live stream, which is marginally more popular than mine. After all that, people that are 10 and 20 years older than me, after they blew up and they had rallies that'll probably go in the history books, after all that fuss, yeah, you're right. Now they have a live stream that is marginally more popular than mine.
Marginally more popular. With it on the third show, I think 1.7K viewers.
Yeah,
on average, it might have capped out at 1.8.
We had 1,000 on Monday. It was a regular Monday.
Yeah, Nick, this is double the amount with less subscribers. Okay, and Richard Spencer has just joined the program. Like, do you think this is going to start to decrease in terms of popularity, or do you not 100%. Think that it's going to just blow up exponentially over time? Like, let's be real here.
Some posh, effeminate intellectual talk about
you're the last person to talk about effeminate, Nick. Like, let's seriously, like, you throw these jabs. Like, have you ever heard of stones and glass houses, bro?
Wait a minute. I have a question for you. I've been waiting to. Because look, I mean, this is child's play, but don't you have a black
child's
girlfriend?
play?
Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Don't you have a black girlfriend? You're fucking around.
See, I knew that's what it's going to be. As soon as things started going south for you,
as like a legitimate leader in an identitarian movement, you're talking about
I love
white well-being. You have a black girlfriend, and you're going to pretend like, oh, you're going to bring that up. Hello, yeah, we're sitting around dicking around. We could do the pissing contest about. Oh, I have more subscribers than you.
No, you brought that up, and I basically showed you how it's ridiculous, and you can't even stand on that ground. Like, please, Nick, I didn't bring that up. I basically showed you how that's not a point for you, and I could actually use that as a point against you. But I'd rather not go that route. And now I forced you into a corner where the only thing you can do is pull out your ace, and it's, oh, you have enough.
I want to see how that works. I want to see how that works against me. Tell me.
So you want to talk about that now? You want to bring out your ace right away?
Yeah, I want you to tell me how you caring about so-called this Nibba talking about white well-being. He's got a black girlfriend. Yeah, tell me how that works against my argument. And by the way, it's all like, can't any of you in the alt-right, can't all of you retards just find a white girlfriend? Mike Enoch, Richard Spencer, you, like, between any of you, can you find a white Aryan GF? I don't get it. I mean, yeah, okay, I'm Catholic, I'm a virgin, yuck it up. But seriously, it's like 3 for 3. Can one of you find somebody who's got a little bit of white DNA? So, yeah, anyway, but I'll let you go ahead. Tell me why that works against me.
Why this works against you?
Yeah, tell me why you caring about this Niva, white well-being, the JQ, such a cringe thing. Yeah, tell me how you miscegenating makes you somehow more credible. Like, tell me how that hurts my credibility. I had been waiting to bring that one up, but we have kind of gone into the shitter with this.
Well, first of all, Nick, you didn't wait very long, and I'm just going to point that out. You brought that up rather quickly.
Just say how it helps you. Just say how it helps you, dummy.
Okay, well, I never put forth the argument that in any sort of way this takes away from your credibility. This isn't an attack on you, the fact that I have a mixed girlfriend. Why would you even frame it that way? Like, do you think that I'm that stupid to enter into this argument that, yeah, somehow me having a black girlfriend makes you less credible? I never put forth that argument. You're just simply pointing out that there's some sort of inconsistency.
No, of course you
Nick,
wouldn't bring
can
that
I
up,
speak,
because-
bro? Or are you just going to continue to project that one-dimensional character that you have, where you just laugh and sarcastically blast at people with this condescending, and it's basically a generic attitude that exists universally within your stupid fucking little 20-year-old gamer community, this irony bro bullshit that you've chosen over the alt-right, as if this is some sort of intellectual dominant community that is more relevant in society than something like what Richard Spencer, Eric Stryker, Mark Hollett, JF, and so many others are working hard at. And see, this is the thing, Nick, before I answer your question, they will actually do a stream or a podcast or present some sort of content where they're actually serious about something. They're passionate. They represent a leader type quality that is so foreign to you because you're not a leader and nobody looks at you as any sort of, guidance. Yeah, they're interested in your content. You have some entertaining value, but you're essentially comparable to like a Steven Crowder or something like that. He's not leading anything. He doesn't have any power. And somebody who has far less of a following is way more relevant and way more respectable than someone like you who just consistently
the wife beater dating a Satanist.
Okay, so now,
he left his family. He beat the shit out of his wife.
That's all I can do is do the same character and attitude all the time.
What a dignified individual. But please, we keep getting away from the point. You're stalling. Please tell me how you having a black girlfriend like bolsters your argument, because you said that
I've never said that it did, Nick. You're just pointing out something that you feel is an inconsistency within my character or my ideology, whatever. I'm not putting the argument forward that this is some sort of plus for me. So you're being ridiculous, and it just shows how ill-equipped you are at debating. You're good at retaining knowledge. You're good at regurgitating information that you've stored, and that what I consider to be an intelligent brain of yours. But you're not a very good on your toes thinker. You're not a very good debater. And when you debated Richard Spencer, you were like this wide-eyed puppy just listening to your fucking master because you are a pup. And when you're in there with the big dogs, he makes you look ridiculous. And that's why you just listen to him for 90% of the stream. Yeah, Nick, that's the truth. And you can't even let me speak because you know it's the truth. You're not letting me speak, Nick. I've let you speak.
All he does is fillet Richard Spencer. I think the comments got to you on that one, but
you've revealed your two aces, these comments by people that literally hate me because of previous experiences on my channel where I've had to ban these individuals, and they actually put more effort into going after somebody like me than the left. Something akin to you, Nick, that you actually go after the real right instead of our true enemies, which is unfortunate because you could be a valuable asset to us.
The real right is race mixing and pro-homosexual. Yes. Join the real right, but not if you're a homophobe.
You're really one to point that out, Nick. Let me speak for 1 second.
No, this is. Do you want to answer what he's saying about the?
I will, but I just want to. I'll say this one thing, and I'll rip right into it. It's very rich for you to point that out, Nick. Considering that you're a quarter Hispanic, half white nationalist, 100% beta, and your sister is essentially Milo. Okay, so you should just shut the fuck up with any of that stuff. But I will answer your question since you've decided to
answer it, please. We're all waiting. White well-being, please.
First of all, to point something out, my girlfriend is not 100% black. She is 50%. Okay, I'll let you get the laugh out.
No. How much is she? How much?
She's 25% away from you, Nick. I'll just put that out there right now. But anyways, allow me to answer the.
Dude, I'm only 2% black, bro. You're telling me she's 27% black, or is she 50?
Okay. I'm not going to detract because you're going to accuse me of not answering the question. I do have a legit response to that. However, I'll just continue to answering your question.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, she is 50% white. She's 25% black. She's 25% Japanese. That is her makeup. Now, when you look into her family and her brother, he bred with a white woman. Their child, Nick, has blonde hair.
He's better than you. He's more red-pilled than you. I'm sorry. Don't you understand how ridiculous?
I'm trying to answer. I'm trying to continue, but
okay,
I know
sorry.
it's so hard for you to just laugh and again,
I should stop. My laughter is really condescending. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's not your laughter. It's basically your entire character. And that's what's going to turn off many people. But allow me to finish, Nick. Can I finish? Because this is the ace that you pulled.
Go ahead. I'll let you finish.
Right. Okay. Let's act bored with it, even though this is the ace that you're pulling out. I'll let you talk.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Go ahead.
So yeah. Anyways, the offspring that her brother produced, white skin, blonde hair, blue eyes.
What, are you talking about your like nephew-in-law that's white? I don't understand.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. So in terms of 1488 and the likelihood of producing something that's going to be conducive to white well-being, absolutely. Do I promote race mixing? No, I do not. Do I think
it? You don't promote it. You just practice it yourself. Yeah, that's convenient.
Well, it's very hard for me to tell individuals how to appropriate this type of thing. How do you scale? How do you evaluate? So in general, it's just something that should be discouraged, right, Nick? But there are individual cases where there's deviations from the norm. There's outliers. And even Richard Spencer had said, we would have to be foolish to turn away people that are, say, 50% white, that identify ethnically as being white, and support white wellness. How fucking retarded would that be for us to turn away these people? Now, if you want to present the idea, Nick, that this is going to somehow be a problem for the alt-right, let's say, for instance, the ethno-state comes to fruition, like I fucking hope it does. Do you truly think that we're going to have this huge problem of mixed race people knocking at the door of a white nationalist ethno-state? I mean, the people trying to get in that would represent this group would be so small that it would require such minimal resources to manage, even if it does come down to testing for race or anything like that. So any argument that could be put forward.
This is the most profoundly stupid thing I've ever heard in my entire life. It's so not that hard. If you care about white, and look, I'm not, all right, I believe in white identity. I'm a race realist and all that, but racialism is a form of materialism. I don't believe in this racial idolatry. However, if you do, and the alt-right is predicated on white racial idolatry, materialist racial idolatry, and the people who purport to be the mouthpieces of it or the leaders of it don't even practice in the most carnal and physical way, loving and reproducing for their own race, what a bankrupt movement you have. Hello? I mean, my movement is paleo-conservative. I'm Catholic. Could you imagine if I came on the show every night and said, hey, everybody, I'm just a sexual degenerate, and yeah, I'm just this, degenerate weirdo, but everybody else got to play by the rules. It would be morally bankrupt. It would be
that's a completely unfair argument, because you're talking about aspects to a person's character or what they represent in terms of values, right? So I could easily picture a future.
The alt-right is about race, not values. Hello, you just said it was the big cat movement. You just said you could be left-wing, you could be Catholic. I mean, what matters is so-called white well-being. You're still pushing the 1488 Fed stuff. I don't know how you slipped out in there. But it's the most basic thing.
Nick, you could meet a woman that is atheist that you absolutely fall in love with. You might think this is totally inconceivable because you haven't had enough life experience.
I don't believe in that.
I know you don't believe in that, but one day you will realize, if you have enough experience, that you don't necessarily
weak.
You don't even let me finish my sentence because you don't like where I'm going with it, and I think that you've drastically underestimated what I've had to bring to the table.
You're a
minimal observation of me,
little worm that goes around online LARPing about white well-being, and you can't even practice it in your own life.
I actually have put in an extreme amount of work and effort. I've led rallies, perhaps the biggest free speech rallies in Toronto that have been reported on by all major news outlets here. And let's go into this, because I think I answered your question, and we went into that. If you want to bring it up, go ahead again, Nick, because I know that's your only real argument against me. But you said that you do what I do better, and I will actually admit that you do one thing better than I do, or you're better at one thing than I am, and that is having a live stream podcast and perhaps a Twitter following. But you don't lead rallies or any sort of events.
No,
You've
you
never
do.
done that.
You're doing your
don't have
Trump
any
mask.
videos that have reached 1 million views.
You're
or
doing your Proud Boy
thousands
shirt
of
and your
views.
Trump mask.
And again, you cannot let me finish my
Wait, can
point
I, dude?
because you know
Wait. You've talked enough, Ralph. Can I jump in here? It's been kind of a pile on here.
Okay, go ahead and give your.
Let him go.
Go ahead, give your point. I'll
you.
read the super chats after that, and then we'll continue with the discussion.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
So this has just been kind of a schoolyard fight. I feel like I've just been kind of piled on with these little drive-by attacks. You know, you're not a leader. I lead rallies. I want to point out to everybody, I'm on Ronnie's website here. I'm on Ronnie's Instagram page talking about free speech rallies. I see this nibba in a Trump mask. I see him in a Proud Boy shirt. I'm out here doing this anti-Muslim thing. It's just so cringeworthy. And you say, oh, well, the one thing you're better than at me is doing a podcast or a Twitter following. No, I'm smarter than you.
You didn't let me finish.
I'm more articulate than you. I have better takes than you. I mean, the only reason that you're even on this debate is because you're friends with Richard Spencer. Like, let's be honest. I wouldn't be talking to you if you weren't sort of like,
because that's how you roll.
If you weren't riding on the sidecar
level of notoriety, and then they're worth it for you to talk to, because that's how people like you roll. Condescending little dicks that essentially think that they're bigger than what they are. And you just said it. You just admitted it. I wouldn't even talk to you unless you were Richard Spencer's friend.
Yeah, because you're a loser.
Yeah, because you're a loser, and I'm the one dependent on ad hominems here, right, Nick?
Gonna do the gay.
You're getting
Reddit
blown
ad.
right the fuck out. You don't even realize it.
Pussy,
all right, go ahead, Ronnie. Give your.
Sports gonna complain about ad hominems, you faggot.
Go ahead,
coming, bro.
Go ahead, Ronnie. Give your response. I'll read these super chats and then I'll let you guys go back at it. Go ahead, Ronnie.
Response to what?
Or just to his comment or whatever. I don't know.
Add on to the things that Nick hasn't done.
Yeah, just give a little, I don't know, 60-second, 60-second response to whatever you want to say here. I don't know. I'm just trying
sure, absolutely. I'll just kind of summarize or recap that and extend just a little bit. I think Nick actually has a really good live stream. I think he's good at what he does. But to try to mitigate the work that I've put forward, like I've literally gone into Muslim no-go zones to interview Muslims about Sharia law. That takes balls.
2015 department. I'd like to file a claim.
I'm talking about my resume and the balls that it takes to do such a thing, which I sincerely believe you lack, Nick. And either way, this is important information. Even if Islam only represents 15% of the threats that we're facing, it's important to call that out, and I still would agree that population replacement, race realism, the JQ, these are things, in my opinion, that trump the threat of Islam. However, I have still reported on these things, and to sit there behind a fucking camera and to do what we're doing right now takes, 1% of the effort and balls to actually go out and do these things. Okay, just ask anybody who actually has. Now, I know you've participated in certain events, so you are somewhat experienced with these. But in terms of your work, this is not something that you've put forward. You haven't gone into refugee hotels that are basically accommodating for illegal refugees and reporting on that. I've exposed how they actually write on the walls free money with arrows because they know that our government is basically paying for them to illegally live here, Nick. So this is important information that I put forward, and you haven't done anything like that.
Right,
so just to speak from a realistic point of view about the actual facts, yes, you have a great live stream, but that's about it when it comes to Nick.
Your live stream shit.
Your live stream shit. That's the high IQ argument from Nick Fuentes.
Yeah, it is.
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, let me
read. Get it, bro.
Let me read these. The Enigma says, "So Nick, why are you afraid of having a conversation with Top Keck Live? Why do you block him on Twitter?" That was
Top Keck Live.
All right. Giorno Giovanna says, Nick is our Zoomer. Ferd Reich says, fuck the troops, our law enforcement. What's your theory? Says, Nick, keep doing you. These guys, like Spencer, have fixed ideas, and they'll hold on them to, quote, be right until they flatline. Spencer's a closeted leftist, just saying. Artabraxis says, Spencer's just a pro-white Democrat, a pro-gay Satanist trust fund baby who happens to be racist. Catholicism is the answer. Death Watch says, Nick is right. A house without any support will not stand. A society without God will always reduce to degeneracy. Degeneracy always leads to liberalism. Gas the pagans. Christian monarchy now faggots. Lord Akira says, it's not left-wing. It's just filled with leftists, but that doesn't make it a political ideology. And that was a quote. He says, what a retard. Let's see. Bilbo Nutbaggin says, Nick, why should we choose Christianity over religion that reflects our racial identity? Doesn't Christianity serve the purpose of the Zionist and the parasite state of Israel?
No, because Christianity is actually true, unlike your gay pagan religion. That's what they don't tell you when they're online doing this LARP thing, is that Odin is like a cum drinker or something. And, you see a lot of the witchcraft people. Religion is not this arbitrary relativist choice. You have to make an assessment based on, what is objectively true. And Christianity is objectively true. And it's true that, the Zionists have subverted Protestantism, but if you look at Roman Catholicism, if anybody's read the gospel, it's the biggest red pill around. Look at Mel Gibson. People like the meme of all these based and red pilled Catholics like Salvini and Bolsonaro and Mel Gibson and, even what's his name, Kavanaugh. These are all Catholics. So, there's
that
work
clip
to be
that
done
you retweeted of Mel Gibson today was hilarious, by the way. Now, let me ask you. So I know you've answered this before, but what do you say to people? So you're Catholic, the Pope's infallible, the doctrine of infallibility, whatever. The Pope is I think it's fair to describe him as a leftist. What do you do with something like that where you have a Pope and who's a leftist? Do you feel since you're Catholic you have to hold back on calling him out, or what do you think of Pope Francis, I guess maybe?
Well, I don't care for his political views, and I think he's done things which are borderline heretical, certainly. And by the way, no traditionalist right-wing Catholics are really thrilled about him. But I think it's really based on a misunderstanding of Catholicism in the sense that the Pope invokes his infallibility when he talks on matters of doctrine. So when he talks about and he has to invoke it in a very particular way. It's not like he says, oh, refugees welcome. And it's like, oh, I have to believe that. It's a very specific set of conditions when he's invoking infallibility. But in any case, why I'm Catholic is because I believe you have to have some element of infallibility. There has to be some rock to tether yourself to. Otherwise, it's relativism. And you can read de Maistre, you can read Hamann. They felt similarly about this. A lot of people like to say they believe in authority and hierarchy and order and all these things, but these all proceed from one. They all proceed from the successor to Peter. And every Sunday and every day, I guess, we're praying for a new pope, some kind of change happening in the church. We wish Christ could come back with the bullwhip and drive the money changers from the temple and all that. But that's just the nature of the belief at this point. So I get it. I get all the criticisms, but.
Yeah, I just never had a chance to ask you that personally. I know that I've seen other people talk about that, and I've heard you speak on it before, so I figured I would just ask. Okay, Jews will not divide us, says Nick is the Sargon of the right, disingenuous, smuggling faggot, just circles around while squealing, short, gay, tan, Spurglord. Deathwatch says, faggot, you literally just said Nick brings up the fact you have a black girlfriend and it hurts Nick. What a coincidence that you use this Jewish debate tactics. Stop shifting topics, you mega controlled faggot. Deep Fried Lettuce says this gay shit will stop exactly 0 illegal immigrants from entering the United States. John O. Daggett says Nick argues like a child, no substance, and the smuggles are getting too damn high. Kiosk Man says go into Minecraft and gas the godless pro-sodomite white nationalists. Lord Akira says no wonder Sargon hates the alt-right. They are two sides of the same coin. Aloof, egocentric, hypocritical faggots ruining the internet. Gas them all, please. Grass Cutter says don't know a lot about Fuentes going into this, though. Then he admitted he was a virgin. Didn't think I'd get my Elliot Rodger fix with Mumkey being sunsetted. Do you have any commentary on that? You're voluntarily celibate, or voluntarily celibate, excuse me.
Well, yeah, I'm Catholic, so we believe no birth control and no sex until marriage. So not fixing to get married at the ripe age of 20, but I think that's the better course for you want to talk about white well-being. I think it's all about chastity and waiting until marriage, baby.
Perhaps, you know what? I think that's, it's admirable, especially in today's society. I don't even want to really necessarily ridicule.
What do you think about that?
Bro, you can't help but not suck dick. I mean, you suck Spencer's dick, and then this is the same thing with
I just give you a little compliment there, and you got to go to something like I suck dick.
I don't want your
like something so like
I don't
think people would expect this of you, Nick. I don't think you would go to that so
not
quickly.
Your friend, dude.
You're obviously capable of unleashing that every now and then. But when somebody gives you a bit of a compliment and you're like, "You suck dick,"
I don't want your
like you just come off as really petty, really disrespectful. disrespectful, and it's beneath even you.
Cry about it, you fucking baby. I don't want your compliment. We're not friends. You just want. I'm cool and funny and smart.
See, but I can be real, Nick. I'm not trying to kiss your ass. You mistake a compliment for ass kissing because in your sarcastic little world where everybody makes fun of each other and throws each other under the bus, you don't understand how people can still kind of have an objective view about things.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no. I'm just sarcastic. Nick Fuente, pull out the knife, Nick.
Good one, Race Mixer.
All right,
says the guy who has Milo for a sister.
What does that even mean?
Is she not a homosexual that is partnered up with a black woman?
No, Poll found a picture of her with like a black friend, and they were like,
the excuses, Nick, the excuses.
Well, no, it's just true. I mean, people lie about you on the internet, but
all right, Nick,
you're actually I mean, you're saying your sister race mixes, like you actually race mix. So, one is not true, one is true and direct. But in any case,
all right,
proceed with the super.
Let me get through. Deep Fried Lettuce says, I'd rather listen to two women argue about some Chad that's been two-timing them. Danielson says 50%. Deep Fried Lettuce says, holy shit, Ralph, just bring on Corinne or something. Onion Wizard says, the absolute state of the alt-right, laughing my fucking ass off. Fuentes, Cameron, and Spencer show how paused the alt-right really is. Starting to think the horseshoe theory is true after this faggotry. Both sides lost. Terry J says, blood for the blood gods. I've missed this shit. IBS forever. Even Shade says, I had no idea who either of these two dudes are, but Cameron sounds like the biggest faggot. Ralph, Street Fighter 2 Turbo versus Jim, it's the way. Deep Fried Lettuce says, Ralph, I take it all back. Kick them both. Start a Smash stream. That would be brutal if I started a Smash stream right now. But Beardson Beardley, hello Beardson, says, the only common value the alt-right holds is race mixing. This poor Ronnie kid is dating a literal 56%er and thinks going to Proud Boy rallies with 5 people is saving the West. Fuck Canadians. Grasscutter says, now Nick is acting like an edgy high school atheist, but with Christian rhetoric. Definitely an incel. Definitely can't go within 300 feet of a school. Critical says, Nick, the only reason it's become a schoolyard fight is because you've made it so your age is showing. You try to act beyond it, but your mind isn't fully developed enough to do so under all circumstances. You have a lot to learn. Mirror Hodge says, I'd rather listen to the Shad Thought than continue to hear this. Propane Daddy says, this Fuentes boy really needs to get laid. I'll tell you what. I think that was a Hank Hillism there. All right, so yeah, that's the end of the super chats. Any commentary on those or another point of contention?
Yeah, I'll say this much: more than I hate Wignat, like retard gay trash, I hate people who are like, stop fighting. This is so juvenile. Like, shut up. It's fun. It's funny. It's you can't take it too seriously. I didn't come on here to have like a rational debate. I came here. I said it on my show. It's just going to be a fun little thing. So quit being gay about. People are like, I expected this, rational debate. Nick is acting like Sargon. What the fuck does that even mean?
See, but it's true though, Nick, that you really have a hard time taking things seriously. And it's okay. Were you not finished there? Should I wait and give you a little bit more time?
Like jumping all over me like this.
But you just said a minute ago that it's perfectly fine. Like, are you really going to play that argument that you're jumping all over poor Nick?
You just don't get it. You're an NPC. Just stop trying.
Again, with these ridiculous I love it, Nick. I love it because I am exposing you for how you're weak in terms of the spot thinking.
For being a dumb
and a lot of these people can retain information and they're able to go in front of a camera and regurgitate it in a very efficient manner. I appreciate that aspect to what you have to bring to the table. But in terms of this type of interaction, you're just simply ill-equipped, and perhaps it's just, a result of inexperience, your young age. But I don't even know, right? Because you are very intelligent and you have amassed quite a decent following for yourself. So, I mean, you have the capability.
This Canadian can't help but be agreeable.
Hey man, I just tell the truth, bro. And like I used to follow you. Like it is, there is a kind of a comedic aspect to a 31-year-old at the time following a 19-year-old. But hey man, you killed Nick Tokes in that debate. And one thing that you said to him was that how can you really expect blacks to have any sort of agency within the political system if you're putting forth the argument that they're just simply brainwashed by the Democrats? And that was a really useful argument for me to use towards civic
Thanks.
nationalists. And when you went against the grain, Nick, you started attacking the alt-right. I was like, what does Nick think he's going to do? Where do you go from here, Nick? You've said and done things that
I can't sleep on
will
Richard Spencer's couch. Where will I go?
Permanently ostracize you from any sort of Trumpism or mainstream movement. You have no home there. Even the civic nationalists don't really want to cozy up to you outside of maybe
Ethan,
Facebook.
Ralph, I thought we were just reacting to super chats. Now this guy's just turned it into this diatribe against me.
Well, okay.
Because I can think on my toes and connect the dots, Nick, and you have a hard time doing that.
Oh my God! Shut up, dummy!
Shut up, dummy. That's my Trump argument.
Literally, anybody with the high. I'm so like in 2019. NPCs are canceled. We're not trying to like get down on your level and try and explain it. We're just going to say,
get down on my level.
This brain
I love it, Nick. I love it. I hope you watch the stream afterwards and really give it some objective thought.
I will, Ron.
And I do it. I'll watch streams of mine and give it, critical analysis and be like, yeah, I was kind of weak here.
Have you ever given objective thought to not calling yourself Ronnie, like a child or a woman?
Because I add an N and a Y to my name, that takes away some sort of credibility or integrity or anything like that. Like,
I don't know how you could go into a debate.
I haven't even called you Little Nicky because it's just easy.
Yeah, because I don't go by Nicky. I don't have Nicky on my website. Like,
yeah, but I personally, there's no value in that argument, right? Like, there are certain things where you can do, like pointing out my relationship that has some sort of relevance to what's going on. But Joey or Joe, Johnny or John, like, really? Okay,
Ronnie. Anyway, Ralph, where we? What's the next prompt?
Let's
structure here.
I have several areas that we can go into, but by all means, Ralph.
Yeah, go ahead. Now go ahead, and I'll.
Yeah, I want to hear.
Go ahead.
But you listen. I know you can't help yourself, but let's try and keep it focused on a single subject. I don't like this sort of schizophrenic going all over the place. We gotta. Pick one.
It's cool.
Go ahead, Mr. Cameron.
Pick one.
Go ahead, Mr. Cameron. Bring up a point of contention. I'll read the super chats after that. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I think in terms of your stance on Israel, race realism, population replacement, would you not say that these are the three pillars in which the alt-right stands on, and as well you agree with?
No, and I'll tell you why not.
Explain to me what you believe the central ideology of the alt-right is revolving around.
I was just going to do that. I believe that is incorrect. The central tenets of the alt-right and white well-being, as far as I can tell, as far as I have observed, is being gay, being a degenerate.
So you're not being honest. I want you to be honest here, Nick. Don't take the cheap shots. You will not find anywhere in any sort of manifesto or manifesto-esque.
Let me get serious for you.
It's ridiculous.
Real heart stop and serious for a second.
Thank you. I'd appreciate it. I really would.
Cool. I believe that for a long time the alt-right, actually Paul Gottfried. I mean, do you even know Paul Gottfried? He originated the term alt-right when he was mentoring Richard Spencer. And in the 2016 election, start around 2015, the alt-right kind of became a catch-all for anybody who was rebelling against the tripartite right-wing coalition that formed in the Cold War between neocons, free market people, and social conservatives. So anybody who was in resistance to that, anybody who really wanted to return to the new right, as was called by Kirk and Nisbet after World War II, that was called alt-right, and that incorporated a lot of different people. Then you had the NPI conference in 2016 where Richard Spencer threw up the, he didn't throw it up, but he said, "Hail Trump, hail victory." People threw up the Roman salutes. You had the Deplorable, which was organized by Jeff Giza. They kicked out Baked Alaska. They wouldn't let Spencer go. And I think right around that time, it started a process where the alt-right, in terms of the political vernacular, slid from that catch-all definition to a very narrow definition of very specific groups and people. And so the thing is about language is that, you can jump up and down and scream and cry all you want that this word means this thing. But of course, there is sort of a democratic element in terms of the vernacular that, if the media defines language in a certain way, they kind of do. Like, for example, a liberal. Liberal means people who believe in free speech. Liberal can be right liberal, it can be left liberal, but in the modern vernacular, or up until very recently, it meant progressive. So nobody would go around in 2008 saying, I'm a liberal. And really what they meant is pro-business, pro-free market, all that stuff. They wouldn't do it. And so in a similar vein, when you define yourself as alt-right, what you effectively say is I'm an acolyte and a friend of Richard Spencer. And so when you try and divorce it from the leader of the movement, well, this is really just kind of a dumb tactic because it's inextricably linked with that person. People like Mike Cernovich identified as alt-right until it became almost wholly and solely associated with NPI, Spencer, this core group of wignats and retards. And I don't want to affiliate with those people. So, do I believe in race realism? Sure. Do I believe in this idea of Jews being a diaspora people and exerting some influence? Sure. But then again, so do Catholics, so do paleoconservatives, so did conservatives 70 years ago. So did every sane person 100 years ago. So to say that that if you believe in those things, you have to associate with this, this effeminate goofball. I just disagree with that. So that's why it's not really a hard thing. That's why I don't identify as alt-right.
Okay, well, I appreciate you taking that response seriously. And first off, I'll just say, Nick, that you can never invoke any sort of like all and absolute arguments when we're talking about race or Jewish power and influence. Like, how frustrated would you be, Nick, if somebody pointed out their crackhead white friend or a white area that has a lot of crime within it and use that as an argument against the fact that blacks do commit more crime? How frustrated would you be if somebody pointed out to Neil deGrasse Tyson and said, you're ridiculous for asserting that blacks in general, again, have lower IQ? You can't use these arguments that, well, so do white people and so do other people. It's disproportionate. There's overwhelming overrepresentation with respect to Jews in power positions. So I don't even think you sincerely believe that argument.
Where are you going with this?
Well, I'm just addressing the last point that you brought up. I'm going to get into it. I allowed you to speak.
What's the point?
I believe I kind of addressed that point that you brought up about why the JQ isn't necessarily important, because you're saying, well, Catholics are in position of power and so are other people. And I'm comparing that to somebody making the argument that whites and Asians commit crimes.
Wait. What claim are you rebutting right now? I'm having trouble following how that's a rebuttal.
Okay, I'll explain to you. You're basically mitigating the importance of the JQ, are you
I'm not? What I just said, if the alt-right's pillars are race realism, JQ, and another, I said, okay, but those alone, those do not belong to the alt-right. I said paleoconservatives also believe in those issues. And, you can go back to Pat Buchanan. He served in the Reagan administration.
Right. You did say multiple things within your spiel. I was just addressing one point about why the JQ is important. You clearly attempted to mitigate the importance of the JQ by pointing.
What I was saying.
No, Nick, you said multiple things, and it's going to take me more than 5, 10, 15 seconds to address.
It'll take you a lifetime because you
can't. Take me a lifetime. Well, it would take me definitely a lot. It would be a lot quicker of a process if you let me finish. And I really thought that's the direction.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead. Just go ahead and finish.
Wow. The distractions here. Okay, so going back to the other points that you were making, you're saying that these are aspects to the alt-right are shared within other communities. But what we have to understand here is the importance of emphasis, right? Like, there are civic nationalists, there are people within the alt-right that acknowledge race realism, that acknowledge the threats that exist against whites. However, they do not make that bold step to collectivize with their white brothers or sisters. They are not pro-white, simply anti-white. And there is a difference there. There truly is, because the Lauren Southerns will say it's okay to be white, but she will also scold those who use white identity politics. So it's you're right in between, Nick. You don't. It's hard to say. Are you of the Faith Goldie, camp? Are you within the? You're right in the fucking middle, and it's very frustrating because that is truly divisive in my opinion, because
I'm not in the middle of anything.
You just don't like Richard Spencer and you don't like the optics that are surrounded within the alt-right. But
Correct.
I could point out so many aspects of Trumpism or paleoconservatism that you might not necessarily agree with 100%, but you'd be the first to say, hey, no political ideology or movement is perfect. And so we have to prioritize what it is that we care about. The survival of the white race, I believe, in your heart, Nick, matters more than anything else. And if that's the case, you belong in the fucking alt-right.
No, salvation matters more to me than anything
fan
else.
Base, and you didn't like some things Richard Spencer said, and you threw the baby out with the fucking bathwater. And you didn't need to do that.
Respond,
You
please?
didn't
Can I
need to do
respond,
it, Nick,
please?
but you did. And
Yes,
here
go
we
ahead.
fucking
Go
are.
ahead and respond. Go
Yeah,
ahead and
I
respond.
need to respond. This is all just a bunch of, it was like dumbest.
This is what
person
everybody
I've
is
ever
saying about
debated.
you,
All right,
Nick.
all right, let him respond.
Yeah,
Go
well,
ahead.
everyone that you know is probably retarded. Anyone who could stand watching your shit has to be just like a subhuman. But let me respond here. I know that was a nasty ad hominem, but
all you got,
you're talking about throwing out the baby with the bathwater, implying there was anything valuable that Richard Spencer brought to the table. There is nothing valuable, these people. And well, here, let me go back to the original point, which is you're between the alt-right and the alt-light. It's about prioritizing or importance or whatever. And I just told you, the alt-right is a brand. That's what it is. That's what you dummies can't get through your thick heads. Is a politics is about branding, and the alt-right is a toxic brand. So you can say, "Oh, well, do you believe in the? Oh, hey, bro, do you believe in the JQ? That's alt-right." You know, whatever. You could say that as much as you want, but when you associate with the alt-right in public, in politics, you're associating with people that have ruined the reputation of that brand. You wouldn't say like you're in the KKK. The KKK says that they are. What do they say? That they want to protect white interests. You know, I remember in like grade school, I did a research project on the KKK, and I was like, wow, you know, these days they say they're not against blacks, they're just in favor of whites. Well, you wouldn't say you're a part of that because, well, I wouldn't say because I'm Catholic and they're anti-Catholic, but it's because it's a toxic brand. Politics is about branding. I don't want to be affiliated with people who have this look that people think David Duke 2.0. People think that's the bad guy. That when you become a liability to trying to persuade people or trying to win elections, you're useless in politics. And so, you know, you sit here trying to say, oh, well, you flip-flop on the issues. That's a separate claim. Maybe if you watch my show, today we talked about the clean break memo and how the only reason we're in Syria is because of Israel. You know, last week we were talking about the Jewish lobby. We talk about white interests every day on the show. It's not like I'm, you know, sitting in the middle. But the alt-right is defined, again, by people who are toxic, people who have sort of ruined their reputation. You know, for all this import you attribute to Richard Spencer, take a look, and not one person remains in his inner circle after this scorched earth campaign. Not Greg Conti, not Eli Mosley, not Evan McLaren. IE separated from him. He's not allowed at American Renaissance, TRS. Disaffiliated from him. It's almost like with the Jewish people. You know, you guys understand this about Jews, right? That, oh, they got kicked out of 109 places. That, you know, must be everybody else. But with Richard Spencer, it's, no, they were all just, they didn't understand the genius of again, an effeminate, posh, intellectual, trust fund kid who has alienated everybody he ever knows. And maybe that's because he's an alcoholic. Maybe that's because, you know, he destroyed his family, and people have been talking about this for years.
Okay, Nick, I got to jump in because
wait. No. Let me finish.
Sure.
I will finish in a moment. And
Cool,
you say,
man.
oh, well, no movement is perfect. I'm sure there are things in Trumpism you disagree with. Here's the difference. Donald Trump is the president of the United States. 60 million people voted for him. He is a billionaire. He is a celebrity. Richard Spencer is what? Some guy who does a live stream. He's got a Satanist girlfriend. He was a part of like the most unoptical demonstration in American history. Let me give you a little factoid. I'll close with this. 9% of the American public says that they support alt-right ideas. 9%. And probably like 3% of those are residual from the 2016 election. 55% of white people say they feel white people are discriminated against. Clearly, there is a discrepancy between viable white identity in the country and the alt-right. If all those people feel disaffected, disillusioned, and you're saying that we were, you know, this is the baby in the bathwater, we can't throw out, no movement is perfect, you think that discrepancy would be a little bit less. You think the difference would be less, but it's not, because people fucked it up. They took good ideas, they took ideas that were important, needed to be introduced, and they associated them with Matt fucking Heimbach and the cuck box. And that's the problem. I don't want to be affiliated with somebody who retweets Matthew Parrott. Okay. I don't want to be affiliated with somebody who endorsed Patrick Little and Paul Neal. These people are straight retards. And if you can't get that, you have no place in politics.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So I'm going to start again with the tail end of all of, you know, that multi-pronged argument that you just presented in front of me, because you did venture into various different subtopics, so to say. But at the very end of that, you know, you're saying, okay, Richard Spencer, perhaps, like let's say I concede this ground to you that he is let go of some questionable tweets, and you or other individuals within the movement. Who was that last individual that you mentioned?
Matthew Parrott.
There you go. Okay. So you don't want to be associated with these individuals. Would you not argue that individuals within the Trump campaign, within the Trump cabinet, Trump himself has let loose some ridiculous tweets that ideally you would not want to associate with?
Here, can I answer your question with
but be quick, because obviously I'm going somewhere with this, and I allotted you a lot of time.
Has anybody in the Trump administration watched their stepfather or stepson cuck them, and then the box breaks and then they get knocked out in Walmart? Did anybody in the Trump administration do that? Did I miss that? Was that Rob Porter maybe? Because that was Matt Parrott. So you want to compare wacky tweets? I mean, this is just a fucking disaster.
No, I'm making a much greater argument.
Go ahead. Try and draw an equivalency between the Commander Heimbach's army and the Trump campaign.
No, Nick. This is what I'm going to point out: is you may have issues within individuals in the alt-right, and rather than attempt to defend every single individual within the alt-right, which would be a rather difficult challenge, I would rather present a different argument, and that is you do not have a problem with the alt-right ideology in terms of the main pillars. So anybody on the outside, whether they're a Trump supporter, a basic conservative, if they know that about you, Nick, they are never going to want to associate with you ever. You cannot ditch that aspect to you. And you think that you somehow can by disavowing individuals within the movement, unless you say race realism is no longer important to you. Population replacement, that doesn't matter. I'm just a fiscally conservative patriot that wants to reject, the economic aspects of globalism and illegal migration. That's really the only home for you in the mainstream, Nick. And you're deluded if you think that your semi or quasi alt-right theme is ever going to find a home in the mainstream. So the average conservative or Trump supporter could use the same argument against you that you use against the alt-right. Like you're actually engaged on the kill stream right now, debating with somebody using very, very low IQ arguments. This is embedded in history, Nick. This is, if you think you have any chance of becoming a mainstream politician, you do not, because you have associated with people like JF, Richard Spencer. You pulled out a knife. You have no hope ever achieving what you think you might, unless you are within the alt-right. There's no other home for you, and everybody within the alt-right is thinking exactly what I'm thinking. Is where the fuck does Nick want to think he's going?
This is a non-starter. Your entire argument is, well, you believe in the pillars of the alt-right, and however, you think that you can. What do you mean? Do you think you know what I think or my aspirations or anything like that? I do a show. It is called America First. I try to spread my beliefs. I give my takes. I am trying to put forward some sort of manifesto.
Yeah, I get that, Nick, but you think that somehow there's a greater degree of separation from you and the alt-right?
The reactionary right. And that like I'm trying to fit in. Do you think I'm trying to fit in? Do you think I go to CPAC and call out Will Chamberlain as a Jewish Zionist shill on the floor of CPAC because I'm trying to fit in with mainstream conservatives?
Your entire argument is about optics and how things are going to be perceived, Nick.
Yeah. Well,
so now you're saying that you don't care about fitting in and how you look? You absolutely do. You're now cucking out on your original position.
Shh, quiet. The difference is, and I've made this clear about 1,000 times, there is a difference between trying to appeal to the media and the Republican establishment and trying to appeal to normal people. And I will illustrate the difference very clearly for you. Gavin McInnes is a perfect example of this. Gavin McInnes is somebody who could never fit in with the establishment media, with the establishment Republicans. They would laugh at him if he were to try to go to CPAC or something like that. He's a Proud Boy. He says some relatively to us, not very controversial, but relative to Paul Ryan, some very controversial things. He would never try to fit in or be a mainstream politician. But normal conservative Americans, they love him. They say, we love this guy. And why is that? Because he's funny, because he speaks common sense. And so there's a big difference that the alt-right doesn't seem to understand. They believe that, well, the media is going to call us Nazis anyway, so might as well strap on the Stahlhelm, get the fattest fucking idiot put him in a Stahlhelm, and let's do a retard rally right through the middle of the state capitol. And there's a big difference because normal everyday people see these characters and they say, these are not good people. These are not winners. These are not well-adjusted people. These are people that are just, I really want no part of that. And ask yourself this much. If the alt-right was such this is a great brand and Richard Spencer is such a heroic leader, why is it that not only is none of the population biting on the alt-right, but people who were formerly associated with it are running from the brand? Why is it that people like Ramsey Paul, Jared Taylor, all people from all across the spectrum since Hailgate, since Charlottesville have said, yeah, I no longer associate with the alt-right? Do you think it's because they just suddenly changed on the issues and Richard Spencer has this monopoly on ideological purity? Or do you think it's because nobody wants to be in your weird little cult where it's built on this hero worship of somebody, again, a trust fund intellectual? Where do we get off that this is, you do a stream the other day, somebody sent me where you're like, Richard.
I just want to point out that you go on for a long time and I do a really good job of letting you go, but I reach a breaking point where I really do want to interrupt. Okay. And so it might seem like I'm doing that often, but you do go on.
All right. So are you interrupting now, or can I just finish this one?
You can finish it. You can finish it.
All right. I like to go on because what I have to say is actually interesting.
Unlike me, of course, right? Like only what Nick has to say is interesting. You're gonna take that shot again.
Correct. So you do the stream you're like, oh, Richard Spencer's the leader, blah blah blah. I just don't get it. I went along to go along last year. It's like, okay, he's kind of the guy, whatever. But at this point, if we're in the stage of challenging everybody and critiquing everybody, okay, maybe you're all right. Maybe you're more hardcore than me. Maybe I'm an optics cuck, but is the guy who's going to lead the white identity movement, is he going to be an effeminate, rich intellectual? And you could say, oh, well, Nick, you're effeminate, or you're a 20-year-old virgin. You think you're going to? No, I don't frame myself as a leader of any movement. I do a show. I do America First. But everybody wants me to bow down and show deference to who? Again, this guy who probably never worked a day in his life. He inherited a cotton plantation or something. He rolls around with this, intellectual, posh, way of speaking. I don't get it. Where all these Reed Siege tards are lining up to see what? Some guy, like I said, this posh trust fund academic talk about the Faustian idea. I never understood it. But go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry if I've been going on.
What's great about letting you go for a while is that eventually it all leads back to your obsession with Richard Spencer or a few individuals within the movement, and then optics. There's literally nothing.
Debate. That's what the debate is about, dummy.
Yeah, exactly, Nick. And this is what causes.
We're debating about Spencer. Hey,
well, actually,
you're obsessed with Spencer.
There's a lot
of this debate. Come on, bro.
Nick, can I talk, bro?
Go ahead, NPC.
How many times do I have to point out how this is just a constant theme of our interaction here? Is me letting you talk for a long period of time. Anyways, this debate is about many things, and for those of you who are maybe just tuning in now, I highly recommend you watch the entirety of the stream from the beginning, because we're obviously touching on many things here. And the thing with Nick here is that his entire issue with the alt-right is essentially just Richard Spencer, maybe a couple other individuals, and then optics. Whereas for me, I tend to look at actual content, actual substance, what a movement is about. And then the characters within that movement are secondary to it. And I think that's how most mature, objectively thinking people approach this situation, because it's very easy to assassinate characters. And I truly believe, Nick, that if you throw anybody under a very, very fine microscope or whatever, you're going to find tons of character flaws or anything like that. So even if I concede certain points about individuals or aspects to the optics, asides, I guess we'll delve into more of the optics component to it. You fail to realize that there's a greater degree of separation between you and Trumpism than there is between the alt-right and you. In terms of optics, Nick, you have to understand that you're right next. You're nuzzled right next to the alt-right, where you're miles away from the average Trump supporter, where in your mind and how you project things is it's somehow as if that your brand and your product is palatable to the average person, where Richard Spencer's is just way out there. No, it's neck and neck, Nick.
No,
and any objective observer would arrive at this conclusion. I mean, I could easily point to how the left perceives you, but I don't even have to use that argument. I could simply point to how civic nationalists and how basic Trump supporters perceive you guys. So all I see happening for you happening in the future is you're going to be stuck with this decision. Do you want to remain in this kind of fringe situation? Do you want to reach back out to the alt-right, or are you going to cuck further and further towards the civic nationalists? That's what everybody is questioning about you, right? So
everybody. A
main point that I wanted to prove and that I wanted to have, exposed to whoever's watching is that beyond some issues with optics and your obsession with Richard Spencer, there is really no substance to your rejection of the alt-right. And I would really prefer, it would be great if you actually view the situation substance first, optics second. But with you, Nick, it's completely reversed.
All right, go ahead, Nick, give your response. I'll read the super chats. We'll take a few calls and then we'll wrap it up.
This is almost just fruitless. You keep saying the same things over again. It's like you don't even have an internal monologue or something. It's like, I just sat through that retarded spiel of yours. Now I get to talk here. All right. You keep saying the same dumb shit. You say it's not substance with you, Nick. It's like,
if you admit it, Nick, we can move on to the other points. Like, we've talked about several things. If you say, yes, you're right, that's absolutely it, Ronnie.
Go ahead, Nick.
It's fine.
Wait, go ahead, Nick, respond. Nick, respond. I'll read the super chat.
Low IQ interruptions drive me crazy.
How we started out,
shut up.
Interrupted me.
We started out with
fuck you, bud. Like,
we started out,
to be honest, like, rewatch this live stream and observe how many times Nick has interrupted me. Low IQ ad. Come on, Nick.
All right, go ahead. Let him respond. Go ahead, Nick, and then I'll read these. And then
fucking dummy. Okay, so we started out with the substantive objection. You said, "What are the substantive objections?" I said, "My Catholic religion," which is so not a small thing. People who are godless, people whose only God is themselves, and that's why they give in to the kind of degeneracy that we see on the alt-right. Maybe they don't get that. What is your substantive disagreement with the alt-right? The alt-right is materialist. The alt-right is modernist. The alt-right isn't right or even left. The alt-right is simply identitarian without much content. You said there could be left and right-wing people, and what does it matter that Richard Spencer seems to be fine with all these left-wing social issues? Well, it matters quite a great deal if you're actually a reactionary, if you're actually a right-wing Catholic person. So that's the substance. But if you're gonna totally gloss over that and pretend it doesn't exist, well then yes, there is the optics. And you keep saying like nobody's perfect. I'm sure if we put anybody under the microscope, or if you put them on the fucking front page of BuzzFeed about their marriage collapsing, about spousal abuse, about just the daily drama with this.
Dude, look at your idol Donald Trump. Really.
Really. Go ahead, Nick. Finish up your thought, and I'll read this.
The difference is, Donald Trump is the president of the United States. Clearly, the so-called equivalency between these character flaws does not exist. Hey,
he has massive character flaws, Nick. As a Christian, as a Catholic.
Shut up.
Dude, no, I'm not going to shut up. Let's go into the.
So what? Let me ask you, Ronnie. So he's saying that you can overlook a lot of character flaws if somebody can rise to the office of the presidency. Do you have a response to that?
Absolutely, I could easily argue.
What about how come he gets to respond?
Nick? He's asking me a question.
Just let him answer, and I'll go back to you, Nick. I don't know.
All right, make it quick. You're so stupid. I hate listening to every word.
Go ahead, Ronnie.
You're so stupid. My neck is so big.
Guys.
Nick, you have no
guys.
You don't even get diamonds in Minecraft.
All right, go ahead, Ronnie. Give a quick thought, just a quick
little. Out of victory royale.
This guy's just pulling out distracting tactics.
Just a quick thought.
I go to speak, it's
you never even have victory royale.
Just a quick thought on that point that he's brought that up several times. That's why I was trying to get you to answer that directly. That he's saying there's no equivalency between Donald Trump and Richard Spencer because of the accomplishments that Donald Trump has politically.
Let me answer the question, Nick. Your accomplishments.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, please.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Just go ahead. Yes.
Your accomplishments do not simply erase character flaws. And even if I wanted to go that route, I could say Richard Spencer is the leader of the alt-right, and that is a very, very hard thing to manage, to lead. It takes a lot of intelligence. It takes a lot of ball. Nick, just chill the fuck out. I don't think anyone would argue that Richard Spencer has a higher IQ than Donald Trump. I don't think anybody would argue that Richard Spencer is more, I guess, knowledgeable, and he possesses an ability to speak articulately on the issues that affect us all to a greater extent than Donald Trump. So in every capacity, I think you would respect Richard Spencer's ability and knowledge more than Donald Trump.
But so what Nick's saying is, but he's not the president, though, right? So
I even if
and then I addressed that initial argument is that I don't think simply because you rise to a certain level of success that erases any sort of character flaws or moral responsibility, and to think otherwise is just absolutely ridiculous, especially for a Catholic. Jesus Christ, Nick, do you honestly think that Trump gets dissolved of his sins or wrongdoing simply because he's the president?
All right, now let Nick respond. Go ahead, Nick, give your response. I'll read these. We'll take a few callers and then we'll wrap. Go ahead, give your response to that.
Yeah, Donald Trump does not get dissolved. Okay, he may get absolved. Okay, but there's no dissolving happening. Well, look, it's not complicated for any reasonable person. You're obviously doing the stream on your knees. You want to impress Mr. Spencer, Mr. Dickard. That's okay. But if we go through the past three things, it's just unacceptable. Donald Trump, there's promiscuity. Like, okay, he slept with too many supermodels. Yeah, that's really a big problem. But we go down the list from the past 3 months. We've got this public spousal abuse scandal, which is troubling to say the least. And besides, even if the spousal abuse isn't true, you've definitely got a divorce, which is not savory. You've got a Satanist left-wing girlfriend, and she's got access to Richard's phone, clearly, which has a lot of people's phone numbers. That's a great idea. You've got an NPI conference where people who are against homosexuality were banned. How do you have a right-wing movement that's pro-gay? I don't see how that happens. You've got association with the Traditionalist Workers' Party, which is, again, Commander Heimbach, Matthew Parrott in the Cuck Box, doing the National Socialist or Die tour. And then you've got, to crown it all off, the Charlottesville rally. Beyond that, again, we look at Donald Trump. Let's put all that aside. I know those are minor character flaws. Let's put all that aside for a moment and let's look at the character of the two people. Donald Trump is somebody who is, masculine, somebody who is successful, somebody who, sleeps with supermodels and travels the world in a jet with his name on it, a 747. He had a television show. He has a skyscraper with his name on it, many of them. And so you say, okay, well, I see that. All right, that's good. But have you considered this other guy who I think he runs a website or something? He inherited a lot, like a cotton plantation or something. He's overly educated, over socialized. Again, an effeminate trust fund kid. There's just simply no equivalency. Even when I was more of a Wignat type character after I left school, I was a little bit more Wignatish before I, got smart about it. I remember people turned me on to Spencer and showed me his stuff, and I thought really, he talks like that? I remember the first thing somebody showed me the Texas A&M, and I was like, ew, he talks like that? That's who this is?
Can I jump in, Nick?
Yeah. No, go ahead, Nick. That whole low IQ thing. So again, the whole, you're trying to frame this debate as Nick, you're alt-right. Just accept it. Become who you are. Submit to the leader. No. Nobody wants to be in your little club. Nobody wants to be in this gay little club where you guys are, drinking all the time and just kind of being sad and on the margins of society.
All right, let me read these. Yeah. Let me read these. Nick, do you have a little final piece there, or was that?
My final piece is
the alt-right is known for being a bunch of alcoholics. That's really part of the bad optics, the toxic optics.
Yeah, my final statement is the alt-right is gay. And Ronnie, I think you're dumb, and your name is Ronnie. Why would you even go by Ronnie? You're low IQ. You don't have a big following. Everybody knows you're weak and dumb. And anybody who would affiliate with the alt-right after the year that they've had is just dumb. And if people disagree with that, if people think that's cucking out, those are not people that I want following me. I want smart, cool, normal Zoomers following me, not a bunch of retarded Gen X losers.
All right, let me read these. We'll take a couple callers.
Great argument there, Nick.
All right, let me read these. We'll take a couple callers, and then we'll get out of here. Power of Snipe compels you, says, early 40s, dad of 3, Seattle born and raised, organics, munchkin, gun-toting, libertarian, agnostic. I disagree with Nick on plenty, but he's way smarter, funnier, more reasonable, and likable than anyone I've heard on the alt-right. Spencer is controlled opposition. Krusty Moko says, these two are fucking spurgs. Sunset them both. Slinky666 says, Nick believes in talking snakes, a flying Jew, and a historically debunked book. Low IQ confirmed. Koopa Cruz says, Fuentes is a virgin and a Hispanic. You aren't one of us. John O. Doggett says, LOL, shut up, dummy. What is this, 3rd grade? Teflon Dom says, this fucking Wignat keeps complimenting the superior Fuentes like a fucking retard. Tactical nuke incoming. B-boop. B-boop. Actually, there was a few O's in there. Manlet Supreme says, Gen X Wignats are useless faggots because they think their internet meme movement has to be taken seriously at all times. Zoomer irony bro, master race. Deep Fried Lettuce says, Fuentes is not arguing that well, but this other guy takes a paragraph to make half a point and pauses to suck his dick in between. Chuck Fink says, don't give this clown Fuentes any more oxygen. Jesus Christ, this is cringe. Grass Cutter says, Ralph, how did you manage to book young Sheldon for tonight's debate? Ferd Reich says, Nick Alaska. Bake Light Respect 1 says, Ronnie, you don't seem like a bad guy, but you were so obviously starstruck by Spencer. Please wake up to the fact that he is a fat loser that will go nowhere in the end. Stop sucking his dick and smarten up. Nick, love you, but ease up on orthos.
I respect orthos. I'm an ortho respecter.
Onion Wizard says, laughing my fucking ass off. Nick just said toxic unironically. Other guy said he doesn't like race mixing, but does it. How would the alt-right ever recover? Danielson says, alt-right equals cuckbox. Nick was right all along. Cooking with Kyle says, Nick wants to be 45 years old so bad it hurts. Hashtag Ralph for president. I think my felony constitute. I don't think I can become president, actually, but Albanian Man says, holy fuck, can't these two fuck already? This is borderline gay pride parade shit. I can't root for either since they're both slack-jawed faggots. The KKK is A-OK. Says, Nick, you're an embarrassing joke. This so-called low IQ individual is fucking battering you. You need to take a long, hard look at your argumentation skills, you Christ cuck spurg. Code Guy says... The username got me on that one. The Code Guy says, tell that leaf to headbutt an ice pick. Let's see. Trent's Ladentro says, imagine being a low IQ Canuck in his 30s getting destroyed by a 20-year-old Zoomer. The alt-right is for gay faggots. This guy's a disaster. Cooking with Kyle says, Cam always responds back to Nick like a captured bad guy that'll always get him next time. Internet Tab says, Ronald gets the rake too. Panzer Faust 217. By the way, there's a train. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Not too far from my house. Says, Ralph, please do a poll on whether we should kick both of the guests. Deathwatch says, your daily reminder that fuck your optics, I'm going in is a meme and not a recommended action. And no, Spencer is not a genius. He got his degrees in fucking humanities where it takes no actual IQ, maybe some verbal IQ to success. Super Sasha X says, this Nick guy interrupts all the time, laughs like a retard, he. Shut the fuck up. He even does it on the spot. I had to point it out. You literally did. You gotta laugh at yourself there.
I'm Ronnie. You're so dumb, dude.
Because I point out a fact and like, yeah, dude, Nick, man, you're out to lunch on this one. I really hope you rewatch this stream. I do. All right,
let me read these. We'll take a few callers.
One super chat, dummy.
Yeah.
Bunch. What are you talking about? You're getting creamed here, man. It's obvious.
Quiet. Let Ralph.
Yeah. Let me finish. Ananon says, "Fuck both these guys in the debate. Chat should just make its own political philosophy via polls." Well, I don't know if that's a good idea, but we could vote for laws and shit every now and then. Thank you for the super chat. Koopa Cruz says, how can you criticize Spencer for being a trust fund senator when Trump eclipses him both in terms of those categories? I guess you could answer that directly if you'd like, Nick.
Wait, what was the question?
It says, how can you criticize Spencer for being a trust fund senator when Trump eclipses him in both of those categories?
Well, I think they're qualitatively different. Trump took his money, and I don't even think he inherited that much. If you remember, he got a loan, which is different than being given money. But in any case, Trump has, like I said, a building on his name. I respect the hustle. But this person, Richard Spencer, is, just kind of, I don't know. lived as this bon vivant. What has he done with it? You know, I have nothing. My parents were not rich. My parents didn't own a cotton plantation or anything like that. And you know, if I had money, I would have done something with it. In terms of sin, it's just different sin. If you can sin and kind of get away with it, like I think it's a little bit different.
Are you saying his accomplishments absolve a lot of his sin? Is that what you? I mean,
no,
that is literally what.
Or maybe not absolve, but maybe not absolve. But you can take that person on because of what they've accomplished, regardless.
What I'm saying is that I think it's qualitatively different when, you know, Trump is sleeping with supermodels, and, you know, what did Richard do? Like, he had a wife and kids, and was like, even then he was cheating on his wife, and he had kids, young kids, and then left them for a Satanist. Like, I don't know. I just think they're different. And
even
also,
the way you
again,
phrased it, though, you say sleeping with supermodels. No, obviously there was cheating going on. Obviously there was infidelity. When you look into Trump's life,
supermodels, bro.
Okay, so again, you're saying supermodels is an excuse.
Yeah,
he's president, and it's an excuse. And this is coming from a Catholic. I really hope that you rewatch this.
Shut the fuck up with this. I really hope you rewatch it.
Shut the fuck up with this. Now you're going to play this tough guy attitude.
I hope you rewatch it because you're going
to try to play this tough guy attitude.
You're hoping that you watch it again and, like, somehow you weasel out a win. You're getting killed, dude. You're weak.
Trust me, Nick. That's the furthest thing from the truth here. And your following is immensely larger than mine. And the fact that these chats are coming up the way they are, I mean, I think that's an objective view.
Just let Ralph finish.
Let me finish. We got two more. We'll take a few calls and then we'll get out of here. Aquawarren says Godspeed wants on. Let him in. Infidel Andy 16 says Cameron might be a cucked Canadian faggot, but Nick is still a Trump ass licker and a wannabe 1950s suburbanite who wears a cheap suit. One more while I was reading. Lord Akira says optics are for cucks. Why don't we have any political capital? Why doesn't anyone with an IQ above room temperature take us seriously? What a bunch of faggots. Go back to drawing Pepe's and shoving tiki torches up your Gen X asses. All right, that is the end of the Super Chat segment. Let's take a few callers. Gator, are you still alive? I'm assuming that he is. I think
yes, but I'm muted.
Okay, the bot is operable, correct?
Yep, let me just double check and make sure. Okay, looks like everything's there. Let me move it in channel. Okay.
Okay,
we
so
should be good.
Should be good. Well, let's take some callers. I see a lot of people asking for Godspeed. I'll bring him in. Now, keep in mind we're gonna move through the callers somewhat quickly, just to kind of keep it brisk and try to get a few people in. Godspeed, go ahead, sir. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
Is this guy really getting bullied by Spick, the pocket knife Fuentes? This guy doesn't represent the alt-right. He's a fucking embarrassment to the few white nationalists left after the shitstorm you faggots caused this year. I mean, come on, you've run a show, Heel Turn, that was pushed in subs by pill-pulling and filleting a race-mixing kike lover who got drunk and screamed fuck niggers with his gay friend for 3 months before you even joined it. Now you're sucking Richard Spencer's dick for clout when he beats his wife and he can't even protect his own white family. I mean, come on, it's just hilarious. You can't say you're representing white nationalism when you're playing Ape Escape in the bedroom. Go fuck yourself. No self-respecting white nationalist walks around with a pocket full of bananas to feed their fucking respective partner. You're not out fighting rallies for white ideology, and you're not fighting against Black Lives Matter's chimp out activists saying fuck white people. You're the kind of dude that gets scared to take a bath during Shark Week, and you're a fucking joke. You have no platform. You're a self-aggrandizing, race-mixing kike lover with no original thought or political view. You want to protect white identity? Stop fucking black people and start fucking white women who will produce white children instead of race-mixing with a Farina Nignog and arguing that it's okay because she's only 25% ape and 25% Jap. What do you got her 23 and me? You're a fucking joke. You don't change anything. You're not out changing the world. If you were, you'd be in actual politics, not running a JQ-oriented pill-pulling podcast whose hosts are so boring you have to hand the entire show over to any person with a modicum of celebrity. From Kike Enoch to Richard Spencer in the past 5 months, because you're not original or talented enough to push your own ideology, so to draw somebody in, you have to run a political podcast equivalent of Carrot Top. Because you won't do anything because you're not likable and you have no personality, and the only thing that you guys present is on par with a dog turd drying in the sun. If you'd have any kind of serious following, you'd inspire people to donate millions of dollars to your campaigns so that you could actually enact real change. And as far as, white nationalists and identitarians, I'm pretty sure they reject multiculturalism in general. So you fucking a nigger basically makes you nothing, the farthest thing from alt-right you can get. Jews and illegals will never replace us because Trump is going to gas them with tear gas until they learn their fucking place. You're nothing more than a cuck-servative who does nothing but fucking bow your ass over and spread your asshole for anybody that's not fucking white and that is a Jew.
Right.
I can't stand the fact that you keep bringing up fucking Lauren Southern. She's not a representative of the alt-right. She's a fucking
I said alt-right. She's a representative of the alt-right.
Okay, she's not even alt-right. She's a fucking coal burner. She fucked a nigger and an Arab. She's disqualified from the ethno state.
Okay, so we're going to assume that you're...
All right, thank you, Zoom. I appreciate you calling in. By the way, I have
You
to.
have a nice day, man. I feel so much better. This guy's a fucking cock.
All right, thank you. Yes, I'll have to remind the Patreon overlords that the callers don't necessarily represent the views of the kill stream or its host. Yes, go ahead, Mr.
Yeah,
Kane,
I think on that note, it's fair to say that his views don't represent any of ours here, right? Like, there's not one person that's going to be like, right on, buddy, I'm willing.
Well,
to
I didn't say they did
you.
or didn't represent. I'm just saying the callers speak. The callers speak for themselves. I just want to put that out there.
All right. Well, I mean, that's clear as day to you. It should be as clear as day to you there, Nick. You have somebody who's out there talking about bananas in his pockets, N-word this and that, and he's somehow not in support of the alt-right because we're the ones that have bad optics and filled with immature let's be real here. That guy and what he said doesn't help anybody's movement, right? Would we all agree there?
Cucking, bro.
Sorry?
Sounds like you're cucking, bro.
I'm just simply pointing out the fact that this guy doesn't represent any of our views. I'm just kind of trying to find some middle ground here. That's where I was going to start. But I'll just pass it on to you, Nick, because it's impossible for you to find any sort of middle ground or be like, a normal human being at any
killing
point
yourself
in time.
right now.
I'm killing myself, right?
Yeah,
Sure, Nick. Okay.
Well, you just got done telling me, you're cucking because you don't.
I'm explaining something. You can't help but interrupt. You've been told by how many people in the chat that you continuously do that, and it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely insane. But I'll pass it to you, Nick, because you just can't help but talk. Nothing to say? Do you want me to continue, or do you just like talking when you get a chance to interrupt me?
You're probably the dumbest person I've ever met. Here's what I was
again like. Do you think that's a point? Do you think that's an argument? Like, I hate to use the Stefan Molyneux.
Okay, Ralph, can we? Nobody's enjoying this.
Yes.
Okay, well, I can actually move on to other topics. No, it's cool. But I felt like, hey, I'll address the question. You interrupted me. I passed it on to no, Nick. Let me just explain to you what happened there.
Nick, shut the fuck up, idiot. Ralph, can we get another caller?
No, I want to explain to you what just actually happened there, Nick. There was a caller who had something to say. I was attempting to address it. You continuously interrupted me. Then I passed it on to you. And then your response is, I'm tired of this fucking Ronnie guy. Ralph, can we move on? That is not conducive to a good show, Nick. It's just not. It's not conducive to a productive conversation. And this is a huge problem with you, is that when you're behind your little Twitter or you're behind your little camera, you say everything. And you put it together in a way that, you're somewhat reserved and mature. But when you actually interact with people, you either sit there with that puppy dog look on your eyes, just listening to Richard Spencer, who is vastly more intelligent, knowledgeable, and possesses leadership qualities that you simply do not. And if you observe your interactions with Richard Spencer, you never took the opportunity to have a debate with the guy. Let me sat there.
Hey, I thought Patreon didn't allow pornography on their platform.
Again, a dumbass fucking argument. Ralph, let's move on to the next caller.
It's cool. Okay, let's take another caller. I don't know where they fall. I do see Beerton in there. I think I know where he falls. I'm gonna try to get a. I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna try to get a. I don't know what I'm trying to do. All right, Multi Rushko, you're on the air. Go ahead, sir. Give your take quickly if you can.
Good God, this is why my political affiliation is house.
No, you cut out a little bit.
I mean, this is why my political affiliation is Waffle House, because this is all just going so spirally and shit. I mean, it is what you call, y'all fighting each other when there's enemies at the gate. And y'all know who they are.
Right.
Yeah, dumb. That's a dumb
I personally think on an ideological level, me and a person like Nick Fuentes should be compatible. We should be on the same side. Yeah, but Nick feels because there's individuals within the movement that he doesn't like, and because we don't, emphasize the value of Christianity to the degree that he does. But I mean, there is no political ideology that exists that is simply anchored in Christianity. We've gone
My
through great lengths to kind of.
Ralph, you gotta
Alright,
cut this
it's
guy
cool.
off. It's enough already.
Let me take
Well,
a
Nick, I'm just sorry, but that should your belief in Christianity should not determine whether or not you're a liberal, a
That's
Christian,
the
a
dumbest-
libertarian,
you're
a
so
fascist.
dumb
It
if you
just
believe that.
shouldn't.
Alright.
And I'm
Oh
quite
my
confident that most
God.
people would agree with me
What a
that your
lack of
religious view.
perspective.
Okay. All right.
I don't lack
all right,
perspective, Nick,
let's
because religion is somewhat
all right. It's cool.
questionable. It's not rooted in fact, where other things are like race, demographics, immigration, everything else nobody can argue with. But religion, we kind of put to the side. It's this cute little conversation. And if I ask you, how did God impregnate the Virgin Mary with his magical God semen, you wouldn't be able to answer that question. That's why we put it to the side, and adults do not necessarily incorporate that into this type of conversation. But for you, that's the be all. Let me get some more.
Let me get some more callers in here. Let's see. Makuto LaRocca, go ahead. Quick take here.
Oh my God, Ralph! I am disappointed in you for bringing these faggots on. They argue like an old married couple, and all today is that the freaking
it's an internet
horseshoe
argument. I mean, look, people talk shit. That is one thing. I don't know if you're talking shit on Twitter. If you're talking shit elsewhere, you might as well come and talk shit to each other's faces. So that's my perspective. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but they do legit sound like an old married couple.
Why do we sound like an old married couple?
You just say the same shit.
We've actually expanded on a variety of things, and we're covering a very important topic right now. So it's, I mean,
now you've broken down into calling each other stupid and telling each other.
I mean, really, in all honesty, that's pretty much just Nick.
Him stupid.
That's him all the time. You're just stupid. You're a dummy. I've rarely resorted to that type of attack. Honestly,
attack.
All right, thank you, Makuto. I appreciate it. Let's try to get a few more in here. We're gonna speed run them. Let's see. I'm trying to look. I don't know how to predict. I'm trying to get. So I know if I bring Beardson on, I know how that's gonna go. I'm gonna try to get.
Give me a little Beardly Beardson action.
I'm gonna bring him on, but I'm trying. I'm trying to balance it out. You know what I mean? And I really don't know what's going. I don't know the proclivities of each caller. Young Destruction, you're muted, so you'll have to go immediately. Let's see. Uwu Easvolt. I don't know. I probably fucked that up, but yeah, go ahead, caller.
Hey, how's it going? I just want to point out that Nick basically punched his kid in the face, and he doesn't even realize it, because he was saying that Nick was being an optics cock, but then when the other guy comes on and points out that he's gonna say banana in the pocket, all that shit, then he's like, "Oh, you can't say that. No one believes that. It's just retarded."
Yeah, it's exactly what I said. And then Ronnie's like, "You keep interrupting me. Explain what you mean." Like, I think
Nick, let me actually address that. Nick, do you agree that the individual who came on doesn't represent either of us on this stream? Do you agree with me?
Optics, bro. You don't believe in optics.
Just answer the question without adding additional banter. Do you agree with me that individual does not represent anybody on the stream?
I think you're the most ideologically pure.
Ralph, I'll pass the question on to you, Ralph. Do you agree with me?
Everybody speaks for themselves. I've said that. After,
does he speak for you?
I don't denounce or
you align yourself with that.
I don't feel the need to denounce anybody.
I'm not talking about denouncing. I'm talking about does he necessarily represent your political view?
I'll tell you who speaks for me, and it's me. That's who speaks for me.
Okay. If we want to be okay.
That's the position I've always took. I mean, as far as denouncing callers, you're saying, I don't know.
I'm not just okay, man. If you don't want to answer the question, that's perfectly fine. I was just simply pointing out the fact that this individual doesn't speak to any of our views, so he's just adding this kind of like outside extreme attack on me, basically calling my girlfriend the N-word and whatever. And I believe that he's just irrelevant to what we're talking about.
The alt-right be like, that guy was really mean to my black girlfriend. Shut up, optics cuck. That part wasn't cool, though.
I didn't even mention.
Unbelievable how people like.
Okay. All right.
What's wrong with this picture?
We can move on.
All right, let's take another caller. And yeah, I'm not. It's not a shot at you. I'm just saying I don't like. As a rule, what I say speaks for me, and that's kind of how I do the show. Okay. Sans Silv, excuse me. You're on the air. Go ahead, real quick. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, go ahead.
So with the Catholic thing, how's it fine that Trump fucks supermodels and that's apparently respectable to someone who should be, a Catholic?
I didn't say that was respectable, did I?
Well, no, you said you respected him for it.
Well, here, I believe in what I believe in is winning. I don't believe that it's obviously a good Catholic practice to cheat on your wife or anything like that, but I do believe in winning. I don't believe the person should be a moral paragon, but if their moral failings get in the way of their ability to lead effectively, then it becomes a problem. So clearly, Trump's, whatever his sins are, they obviously didn't impact his political ambitions, but clearly it's different for identitarians. If you're, well, in the particular case of Spencer, now if Donald Trump had like beat the shit out of his wife or left his wife for a Satanist or something, maybe it'd be a different story. But yeah, if I said that in the past, it was either memeing but my sincere opinion is, yeah, obviously that's wrong to cheat on your wife. But I do think pragmatically, in terms of the look, it's a different look when, he cheated on one supermodel with another versus like some guy who beat up his wife and then left her for a Satanist. Like it's a different look. So
I can kind of understand that, like with the whole Kennedy thing.
Yeah.
I was still not terrible.
Yeah, I don't think the leader. I mean, the leader should ideally be moral, but like obviously Trump can be a vehicle for a lot of great things. Richard Spencer cannot, and a big part of that is the moral failings. It's a big liability for him.
All right, thank you, caller. I appreciate it. Let's take two more callers. Well, 2 or 3 more callers, then I'll read these, and then we will sunset the stream. Let me. How the fuck? Okay, sorry. I lost my place there. Okay, let's take. Let's see. I don't know where it'll go, but let's see. Triz Nice, you're on the air. Go ahead, sir.
Hey, where did you find that fucking Kike Vice Rider, man? Like, he just sounds like Sargon all the time. He goes, "Oh no, you fucking cunt," yelling all of his attacks, but this shit doesn't make sense. He goes to say that Spencer, he's a bad guy, he beats his wife and whatever. But Donald Trump, he's a degenerate too. He's not a fucking Christian role model or anything. And I just don't understand what's all about the optics and everything. But once it's fucking Donald Trump, that's all good. He makes money, he's a real winner. Like, that doesn't make sense at all.
Low IQ, Euro poor, can't even speak English. Yeah, I think it's pretty clear.
Wow, that's so fucking insulting, man. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
about
Imagine
it.
you
That's
just
so
speaking, like you
insulting.
join a Swedish podcast and you struggle to speak the language and then they rip on you because they call you low IQ. Like, come on, man.
But dude, it's all because that's the point. All he's been doing all the time is insulting everyone. Give him any kind of fucking argument, he just goes, "Oh no, that's not good. That's not good. I don't care. You're a fucking cock. You're a fucking this and that." But at the end of the day, cucking on the optics and everything else.
Yeah. All right, thank you, caller. Appreciate it, man. All right, let's take another caller, then we'll get Beardson in here. Let's see. Oh, this guy actually said he wanted on. Let me. Alec Majurison. I probably mispronounced that, but go ahead, sir. You're on the air.
Ralph, I got a bone to pick with y'all.
Okay. Go ahead. Sorry, I'm choking.
Great
here.
intro.
The vape fucked up my lung, but go ahead. Yes.
No, I'm sorry. I just had to give you a raw D intro, being a Southern man.
Thank you, sir.
But no, I used to actually have a show on TRS. We were late night alt right, and we moved away from them. We were really conflicted, even in joining the alt right when we began our podcast, because we didn't know if we wanted to get involved.
Are you
with
writing
a lot of
a manifesto? What's going on with your keyboard there? Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead. Continue. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I have nothing on the keyboard.
Oh, I just heard something. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, we were really conflicted. We didn't agree with Spencer at all. We're really, really, really turned off by Spencer. I really agree with where Nick's coming from now. I like Mike a lot. He was one of the first guys that came onto our show and spoke to us, but I can't get behind Spencer. I'm sorry. There's too much faggotry and just up his own ass.
Do you mind if I address that?
Yeah.
Sure, go
Yeah,
ahead. Thank you, Paul,
I think I've actually had some of my friends say, I just Spencer, there's something about him that doesn't speak to my nature or whatever. But the thing you got to understand about with Spencer is that he does come from the upper class. He is a bit of an elitist. There are some aspects to his personality that could be perceived as snobbish. But again, none of us are perfect, and there's aspects to my personality or characteristics that could be looked at as like low class or just whatever. And I really do believe that we have to get beyond these kind of like character assassinations and really get to just the content. And once you do that with Richard Spencer, you realize that he's not only a jack of all trades, he's essentially a king of all trades, and he can talk competently on
Get his dick out of your mouth, Ronnie. Jesus
if anybody's, for those who've listened to this stream, I've done a very good job of trying to stay away from the whole, I'm going to root for Spencer and Richard's just going to, Nick's just going to shit on him. I've tried to, kind of pull back the camera and take more of a broad look at this and say, even if you're correct, and even if argument about these individuals, that should not deter you from believing in the movement. And from people on the outside, from an optics level, they're not going to care whether or not you support Richard Spencer. They're just going to simply care about what your beliefs are. Do you believe in race realism, population replacement? Are you aware of the fact of Jewish overrepresentation, and are you willing to speak about it? That's all the mainstream cares about, Nick. But you have this delusion that somehow, because you disassociate with the alt-right, that they'll be open to you. And then your other argument was that, okay, I'm not going to just continuously.
Okay, Ralph, we got
let me one more caller.
Okay, yeah, no, fair enough.
Go one more caller, then we'll bring in Beardson. Let's see. Oh wait, press the button there. Nil.
He's the king of all trades.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Who's that?
Nice.
That's his trademark. Did you have a comment besides that? No.
Yeah, I saw someone post.
You cut out, sir.
That guy sounded fun.
Go ahead. Go ahead. You're still there. For like 3 seconds, unless you say anything. Okay, he's done. Okay, let's bring in Beardson. Let's see.
My leader, the real leader of the alt-right.
Beardson.
Hail Beardson. Hail victory.
I'm a jack of all trades.
No, he's the king, dude. He's the king.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, jack of all trades is an insult. I'm a jack of all trades, bro. Let's not get it twisted.
First of all, thank you, Ralph. Merry Christmas to you and yours.
Yes, thank you.
Your lovely wife. Merry Christmas, Gator. Merry Christmas, Nick. Ronnie, my guy. How does Richard Spencer's dick taste? How long has he been grooming you for this? Honestly, and also, can we just get you to say the N-word? Can we get you to say nigger? Because you said the N-word earlier, and I just want to hear you say it.
No,
you're supposed to be this white nationalist. I want to hear you say it.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I don't use that word casually.
I know, because you're
it's not something that I say on the regular. And I'm not going to say it simply because some guy who pops onto the kill stream tells me to say it.
I'm not some guy in the kill stream. I'm the guy that you're afraid of, big guy. Remember that irony bro gamers are ruining our movement. Yeah, that's me. I'm that guy, you big bitch. You fucking.
So you're really that dipey and triggered over us bashing video
talking
games?
about me constantly?
Is that
talking about me constantly and subtweeting me like a bunch of pussies? Because that's what you do every fucking day. These people are like, the fucking irony bros. They're ruining my movie.
And you think it's a good idea to tell everybody that it really bothers you? You think that's a smart move?
No, I think it's hilarious. I think it's hilarious that all you fucking white nationalists who are, supposed to be big and bad, and we're running the internet, and blah blah blah. You're fucking afraid of a fucking.
Well, all I gotta say is for whoever's bothering this guy, I don't even know your name. Keep doing it because clearly it's working.
Richard knows my name because that's why he was texting Baked Alaska.
What's your name,
sir? Our show.
Robo.
It's Beardson Beardley.
Beerson Beardley.
Yeah, so the way the Robo thing works is it pipes people in from Discord, so that's how that works. Yeah, it's Beardson. Yeah.
It's Beardson Beardley. So here's my thing, Ronnie. Okay,
So you're dating a black girl. Now, I don't have a problem with that personally. I think that's pretty based, honestly, in my humble opinion. I think that's pretty awesome. Half Jap, 56%, whatever. I don't know. I didn't really keep up with the 23andMe you read off there, but so here's my beef, Ronnie. We have Richard Spencer, who has beaten his wife, left his wife for a Satanist. We have Mike Enoch, who ruined his marriage for a podcast. We have JF, who fucks retarded girls until the court intervenes. Like, can you honestly point me to any individual within the alt-right that's not a piece of shit at this point? I mean, you're fucking a black girl. Like, there's some weird defect with all of you people.
I'll point out a quick inconsistency there. Like you said at the beginning that you think it's respectable or you appreciate it. It's actually base is what you said. And then you said, it's filled with all these piece of shit people, like I'm dating a black girl. So you immediately 180'd on that whole thing. And now I can't even honestly take you seriously.
As a white nationalist. As a white nationalist, I think it's a little fucking weird for you to be dating a black girl. That's all I'm saying. It's a little fucking weird. I don't care. Listen, I don't care that Mike Enoch was married to a Jew. I don't care. Good for him. I wish he wouldn't have ruined his marriage for a fucking podcast. I don't care that you're dating a black girl. That's fine. But as someone who's advocating for white issues and who wants more white babies, that's essentially your main goal, right? Is to stop the demographic replacement. You want more white people in America. So why are you not contributing? Why are you telling other people to go out and fuck white girls? But
that's an excellent question. That's an excellent question, and I'm happy to answer that. First and foremost, I think in general, race mixing is something that should not be promoted. It shouldn't be advocated.
But you're a hypocrite.
Let me finish. Please let me finish.
Go ahead. Finish. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Wait. Let him finish.
Yeah. So in general, that's what I'm saying. Like in general, blacks do commit more crime. They do have a lower IQ. I can make
but not my black
about groups. Now there are individuals that are kind of like deviations to the norms. And on top of that, you can have situations where there's mixed race individuals. Like you keep referring to my girlfriend as black. I'm being honest with you. I would not be with a 100% black woman. I would not be with a woman who I did not. Let me finish my point because this is all relevant.
Let me finish.
Well, dude, like, I mean, I'm being mature here, and if we continue this stupid banter, it's not even good for Ralph's show, right?
Go ahead.
So
go ahead. Finish your thought. Finish your thought.
It's very hard too when I constantly get interrupted. And that is a tactic of low IQ individuals.
But anyways, just talk. You're talking. Stop bitching about fucking getting interrupted and just fucking talk, you fucking nigger.
I paused for 1 second to take a little shot back at you, and you get all bent out of shape because you
talk. Just talk.
All right, I will continue to talk. Thank you for allowing me.
I know.
All right.
Fucking fill in the space. Come up with
hold on.
You're a fucking retard.
Ronnie,
Jesus Christ.
Ronnie, go ahead, because this has been something that's been brought up the whole stream, basically. Your personal proclivities.
Guys, thank you for allowing me to talk.
I don't get a chance to finish more than maybe 5 seconds without getting interrupted by these little fuckers who never behaved this way if they were actually facing me in person.
All right. Just
can you just mute them for maybe like 10 seconds?
If anybody interrupts, don't uninterrupted. Do not speak. Let him speak whatever he wants to say about this issue. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, there are situations where you're gonna mix with you're gonna breed with a mixed person and produce a white child, and I can point to let me finish.
Let him speak. Go ahead.
I'm really gonna just like start.
It's
to
okay.
Freak out
it's
on
okay,
you
man. Just keep
this,
going.
Bro. Like,
I will
make
sure.
away from stopping on you.
I will make
You're just some random dude popping in. Okay. So yeah, within my specific case, I can look at my girlfriend's brother, and he mated with a white girl, and the offspring is totally white, blonde hair and blue-eyed. Blonde hair and blue-eyed. I mean, no one would question that this kid is white. There's no one who would even think to say maybe he shouldn't be allowed in the white ethnic state. So in terms of 1488, if we want to get real about it, like, will Ronnie produce an offspring that is conducive to 1488? Yes, he will. And you can laugh at it all you want, but I mean, I'm just, again, being real with what it is that I'm dealing with. But in large numbers, I can't possibly, let me finish this point because I'm literally 2 seconds away, and I give Nick so much fucking time, and I even give you time. So again, in large numbers, I can't possibly fucking advocate for this because I don't know individual circumstances. I don't know individual situations to say.
So what you're saying is there is limited, circumstances where you would be
point
okay.
at the end of the day, because really.
No, it's not, bro.
if you want to challenge my character, I can understand that. Okay, that you can go after that. But in terms of this being a problem for the alt-right, like Richard Spencer said, if there's a mixed person who is with a white person, he would be stupid not to allow them into the movement. First of all, this is only going to represent a very tiny minority of the people that would want into a white ethno-state. How many mixed people do you think are going to be banging at the door of the ethno-state? So in terms of practicality, wasting resources on this, no. Because I've actually listened to all of the debates and I've actually analyzed them with objective views. And if the leader of the movement said to me, Ronnie, you would be you are rejected from what we are doing. If people like No White Guilt, Mark Collette, tons of individuals that I can point out to. So, I mean, that is essentially my personal defense. And once again, I do not extend this to the masses in terms of promotion because I understand that it's just too hard to evaluate individual circumstances.
How do you get dressed in the morning? How do you get dressed in the morning? I don't understand.
All right,
are you wearing a helmet right now? Do you?
Well, this is essentially your only point against me that you brought it up is my relationship. Idiot. I brought up a multitude of points against you. Your attitude, which needs to be reaffirmed constantly throughout.
It's because none of you have any character and you don't practice what you preach.
Okay, Beardson,
your ideology. We gotta keep it moving. I'm dying over here.
Yeah, let me, Beardson, give your final little thought here. I'm gonna read the super chats and then I'm gonna call Tom on the whole shebang. Go ahead, Beardson, your final little thought there.
All right, thank you for not interrupting me. I appreciate this time to talk and formulate all of the thoughts in my head while I'm talking. It's a really great opportunity to have the floor here. Listen, Ronnie, Richard Spencer has been kicked out of 109 friendships. Okay, how do you want to be 110?
Is this really is that your goal? Man? Is this really your only point?
Name one friend that he's kept in the past 5 years. Name one. None of them. He lost his funding. He lost all of his friends. Greg Conti, Johnson, the works, all of them. Nobody wants to talk to this guy anymore. And he's just grooming you. He's just grooming you and using you because he's a fucking loser who lost all of his funding. And now he's turning to live streaming to do it because he saw what Ralph's doing and others are doing and sees that it's successful monetarily. And he's using you and grooming you. And you're a fucking retard that's going to keep going along with it. And eventually he's going to be like, yeah, I don't really accept it.
Richard Spencer really needs to use some guy with a following that is modest at best, who has
I thought you had all these likes. I thought you had all this following. I thought you had all the following.
Well, I would consider Nick's following.
Why would he want to use me?
All right,
because it's all in comparison. It's all relative, right? It's all like
that's a nice live stream we got there, Goy.
Beardson, thank you for calling in, sir. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ralph. Have a good Christmas, buddy.
All right, you too, Merry Christmas.
Hail Beardson, hail victory.
I mean, I'm mature enough to say that my following's modest. I hope Nick would too. But if you compare us to other channels, Nick, you're just a small fish in the big sea. And it's mature of you to view it through that lens.
Let me read these. We'll get some final take on each side, and then I'll leave and go play Smash Bros or something. Condot Terrio, I probably fucked that up too, says Ronnie is a pathetic race mixing little lackey for Spencer, and Fuentes is a juvenile Christian Bale and the machinist looking little spick. Cooper Cruz says that wasn't the question, you spick. Trump inherited more money, violated the sanctity of marriage more times, and lived an inherently more sinful life. How is he better than Spencer in the eyes of the Lord? Accomplishments don't absolve sins.
Right, that's always your. It's like knee jerk. Shut up, you fucking dummy.
Look, you just don't. If you're not smart, you just don't get it. If I have to go back and explain it's just true.
No, Nick. If you're not as intelligent as what you think you are, you resort to stupid comments like that. Shut up, dummy.
Okay,
I have never responded initially.
All right,
with those
Ronnie. Can we move along with the Streamlabs, Ralph? Thank you.
Yeah. Dirty D disagrees. Actually, not Streamlabs because I got kicked off there. But Dirty D disagrees. Says it's too bad Zoom jerks off to kitty porn because his roasts are epic. Oh, well, put that pedo against the wall. Cooking with Kyle says, Jesus, Ralph, first caller came in so hot, my house is on fire. # president for the new world. Pharaoh Owen says, Zoom could be better, but he writes out his burns ahead of time. Makuta LaRoque. Well, the whole writing, I think it did seem like he did that, but there's something to be said. There's something to be said for having it written out, though, because you have some callers come on, don't have it put together. Even myself, sometimes I wish I had some stuff written out. So anyway, I understand both ways to do it. Makuta LaRocca says, "Oh my God, guys, just shut the fuck up and fuck already." Super Sasha X says, Nick gets devoured. I assume there's no ed there though, and just interrupts with his retarded laugh. He sounds smart as Darkside Phil, and he is fucking stupid. And then it says, "Ack."
Low IQ.
5F6 Animal says, "Sorry, the guy with the nigrous ape friend is disqualified to the wood chipper with him." Grass Cutter says, "I gotta bounce, but you should be careful, Ralph. They might take away your Patreon for hosting Retard Wars in 2018. Slinky, they're gonna take that away anyway, probably. Slinky666 says, "I can't stand both of these guys, but Ronnie won tonight. Nick is good if you're a 17-year-old dropout who wants to appear smart, but anyone who holds a college degree and has an IQ over 70 will avoid these two like the plague."
Yeah, okay, Gen X loser.
Yeah, we both disagree with that. Fuck you. Me and Nick are probably both more intelligent than you.
This guy, man.
Huh.
All right.
Well, Nick, I'm sure your
I
IQ is at least 115. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 130. I don't want to bash you on that angle, bro. Like,
Ronnie,
a lot of intelligent people are just simply wrong.
I do want to ask you something now. I keep an even keel. I don't weigh in on either side of the debate, but you have given him several compliments throughout this conversation. It's clear that he's not interested in those, and he just like stabs you every time you do that. Like,
yeah, I can't stab. I can't. It's almost too cruel for me to keep doing it, so I'll just take that one, I guess.
Well, I mean, there's.
But why do it? So if a guy's saying fuck you, you're a dumbass fucker, and you throw him a compliment still though, like what makes you like why? What's the thought behind that? You just being honest or
yeah, that's okay. Strictly like I have pretty thick skin, right? Like Nick saying fuck you, if I suck my dick or whatever, that's not gonna bother me. But to as well illustrate the point that I'm willing to be honest about things and not say, oh yeah, you're just some fucking 85 IQ retard. No, clearly you can't do what Nick has done at 20. I'm not fucking kissing your ass, Nick. I think you're 100% wrong with the alt-right. I've explained my issues with you, but it would be stupid of me to say that you're not a smart person who has done good things. And that's not to elevate you to some sort of fucking God status or anything like that. Quite the opposite. I'm just simply being real about things. So that's really the extent of that.
Thank you, man. You're a real king of all trades.
I knew you were about to say that. Okay. Conduct Tyrio says Spencer is unleashing the minions against the various sects of the dissident right. Power, in the Juvenilian sense, says must be singular and absolute. It is classic high-low versus the middle. I figured it out, you niggers. Jews will not divide us, says Ralph. If you subject your audience to any more faggot catfights like this, I will report your Patreon for torture. Trent Ladentro says, I expected Nick to own this retard, not tear him a new asshole. The alt-right is canceled. KW Vance 1994 says, if Fuentes is such a Christian man, then why wasn't he there for his son when he needed him the most? He says 30-second vid linked. I don't know what this is.
What?
That's the dude who drinks. I forgot this guy's name. I don't know. I'll look at it, but that was a joke. He doesn't have a kid. Lord Akira says, all this stream has done has confirmed that Canada has strictly enforced state-mandated homosexuality, ban all Canuck callers. Super Sasha X says, Ralph, who am I? Let me interrupt everyone. Wah, being interrupted, and you're so dumb and stupid and a meanie and a big stupid poopy face. Deathwatch says, Jesus Christ, what a Spencer dick sucker. A leader always decides what the movement is about. The fucking definition of a leader, you low IQ fuck. Spencer does not stand firm on the important things that shape society besides race. Dirty Ski says, Robert Bowers was right. Bring back Zoom or give us a Zoom poll. Koopa Cruz says, a race-mixing Canuck versus a Hispanic incel. Well, at least one can get laid and is actually white. The Bible is objectively true. Ha 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 ha. Keep worshiping a Jew. That actually rhymed, which I didn't notice until I read it. Warcade says, Cameron, saying your Christianity shouldn't matter. Go back to Reddit circa 2008 with your retard level grasp of metaphysics. Conduct Tyrio says, Ralph, through all this shit, you remain sublime. I love this damn show. Thank you for this. Also, Hell Zoom and how can I call into the show? There's a Discord. That's how you call in. I'll throw it out here in a moment, but thank you very much. What's your theory? Says, this guy seems to be recruiting for the alt-right. People can be race realists and not be alt-right. I can't even. This collectivism is just, wow. The idolatry is disgusting. Deathwatch says, would you show some respect to this alt-right gay for Spencer, race-mixing gentle man? Stop acting like white niggers. White people are supposed to be respectful. Beat Nick 11 says Nick smug chuckles, but Cameron is so far up his own hypocritical ass it is driving me crazy. This is why I can't take alt cuck seriously. Deep Fried Lettuce says, how could you do this to me, Ralph? What did I do to you to deserve this? Cooper Cruz says, actually respond to the point, wetback. You know Trump is hellbound, and your pride will send you there too.
Yeah, whatever.
All right.
It's like if people don't get the difference between Trump and Spencer, it's just you're low IQ. I don't know what more there is to say. And you could say, oh, that's ad hominem. It's patently obvious the difference between somebody who's sitting in the Oval Office and somebody who's sitting in some bungalow with a Satanist. It's a little different.
By the way, I see Scarecrow Kaiser Sose in the chat celebrating their subscription birthday. I don't see every single subscription birthday, but I just happened to see that one, and they said Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you as well. I love Christmas, and I just feel better this time of year. If you don't like Christmas, just go fuck yourself. I don't know how to say it. So, Shiki Khan says Cameron had a much cleaner argumentative style, but the mental gymnastics needed to tell others not to race mix while race mixing himself is astounding. Saying your kids won't come out black because of whatever reason is a bullshit cop-out. Cooking with Kyle says if Nick is so smart and we all just don't get it, then he needs to gain the capacity to enlighten others instead of casting people into the abyss of autism. KW Vance, 1994. Play the video, faggot. It's 30 seconds. You can't tell me that it's not your kid, Nick. He looks and sounds just like you. It's I forgot this guy's name. Gator might know. I forget the blog he has, but what is this guy's name, Gator? Gator, are you still alive, by the way?
Barely, but yes.
Yeah, what is this guy's name? I fucking forgot, actually.
That's Review Bro.
Yeah, Review Bro. There he is. He's eating Popeye's chicken. God, I want some fucking Popeye's chicken. That would be so delicious right now. Anyway, all right. I played some of it. He doesn't even speak. You can't even hear what he's saying.
Is immeasurable.
Oh wait, there he goes.
And my day is ruined.
God, I want some food. I'm so hungry. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us. That was it. That was all the super chats. We even took some callers, which I didn't even know if we were gonna do it first, but we did. Nick Fuentes, do you have any final thoughts, sir?
Yeah, I don't think this was really a debate, honestly. I think it was just kind of fun little Twitter spat that escalated on a stream, and I retain my position. I'm not alt-right. I'm not a gay loser, so I'm not alt-right, and I think that's about it.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Cameron, do you have any final thoughts here?
I do have just one thing that I want to lay out, see if Nick is open to it. Are you basically closed off, shut off in terms of any sort of return to the alt-right? Like, I'm not even saying that the door's open or anything like that. I'm genuinely curious as to which direction you're going to head in. Are you going to move more towards the center? Are you going to try to grow this fringe, I guess we can still call it dissident right movement that you're part of, but I'm really interested in the strategy. If you could just answer that quickly, and I'll let you have the final word.
Yeah, I'm a paleo-conservative. Look, the master of all trades said, Nick, leave the alt-right. Go join the paleo-conservatives. Like, I've identified as a paleo-conservative from the beginning, and that is what I am. So, the whole debate was like, Nick, leave the alt-right. If you don't like us here, you should join these other people. And my response was, yeah, you're right. I don't like you guys. I'm not one of you guys. I am a paleo-conservative. And then you're like, no, you're one of us. Like, no, I'm not. So, I mean, that's all there is to it, really. I don't know why you have to overcomplicate it.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Nick, for returning to the kill stream. Thank you, Mr. Cameron, Ronnie, for making your debut here tonight. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. You're an awesome host, man.
Well, thank you.
Merry Christmas. Thanks for having
Merry
me.
Christmas. Yes, Merry Christmas to you both as well. Thank you.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Gator, it's just me and you now, sir. What's going on?
Woo, lad, that was something.
That was something else, wasn't it?
I was sick as a dog, so